welcome everybody to this week's edition of Dropping the Hammer. Welcome all you Drangir, welcome all you Shield Maidens. I've got a great episode for you tonight on Dropping the Hammer, but I'm going to really pull this from a podcast I was on. It was last Friday, and this was Headlock, Heels, and Havoc's podcast. This was the second time I've been a guest on their podcast. Tonight, that episode and tonight's episode, we were talking who we thought was the greatest world heavyweight champion in our bracket. They're doing this massive tournament, but our bracket was AWA versus NWA. Now, what we decided, our wrestler ended up going into I guess the semifinal bracket or the final bracket. I'm not really sure, but that's essentially what we were doing. We eliminated a certain group and allowed one champion to move forward and continue his journey. Not just me. There were several other people in this panel, and they're having several podcasts in this tournament. So it's a really cool idea what they're doing. So it's involving many people. It's taking as many wrestlers as they've got information on. And man, this was cool. We talked for nearly 3 hours. So this is going to be a long one, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you that. But, I just wanted to drop some information really quick and we'll get into it. I've got a couple of shows coming up. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But August 8th, August 15th, and August 22nd is what I've got coming up. So I've got a couple of big matches. Again, we'll talk about that really quick at the end of the show. But right before that, I'm going to say the beard oil labels, I should have them Monday or Tuesday. I know this is the second, third, fifth time that we've talked about this, but I know they are in Oklahoma Saturday. They should have moved closer, Dallas, Sulphur Springs, somewhere by this time. So I should be getting them tomorrow. On top of that, Iron Belly assures me that we have the new scents, plural, in our works. So he has created beard washes, styling wax, butters, balms in all the scents on top of the oils. So we have Raiders Camp, which that one's my favorite. That one I say is our number one seller. We have Mead Hall. I know everyone hears meat. It's mead, the drink. Mead Hall. Then we have Winter Hunt. But the two new scents is Longship and Valkyrie. So the feminine scent is out. We will have the new Longship scent. And I will be with him on the 22nd. So everything he has done is, as soon as I get the labels to him, we are going to have some very nice labeled bottles. And I cannot wait. But I know we've talked about that many times. Once I have the bottle, I can show you guys. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait. One more day, maybe 2 max. I'm okay. But one more day is what it shows. It should be here Monday. So fingers crossed. But without further ado, we're going to get into the show. We're going to bring it to the stage. Give me just a second. I got to clean some of this up. Okay. We're going to add it to the stage. Once we start playing, I'm just going to drop out and we're going to watch this. I'm not going to really talk too much because there's a lot of talk and I don't want to talk over it. So I've provided a link in the descriptus below and you can watch it here. So either way, but be sure to follow these guys and give them a subscribe because they are doing some really cool stuff. They did tell me this was the premiere of the new music and everything. So I was jamming I was jamming. So here we go.
Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest tag team in podcasting, where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocks tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing ground, feeling foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Stepping in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw pants on. Wrestling unscripted. We on the throne. Turtle bells, mic check, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks, stop it, who's hitting the fan? Welcome to the Havoc, where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, havoc, now hear the roar.
Yeah. I'm glad
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am one half of the greatest tag team in podcasting. It's me, it's at LEGEND. And with me, as always, is everybody's favorite uncle and my tag team partner, Uncle Slam.
Welcome, family, and welcome to the People's Podcast.
Tonight on Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, Wrestling Unscripted, we proudly welcome back some incredible voices in professional wrestling as the greatest world heavyweight champion of all time tournament continues. This week, we're stepping into the legendary NWA and AWA brackets, where history, opinions, and wrestling knowledge collide as we debate the greatest champions to ever hold two of the most prestigious championships of all time in wrestling history. Joining us tonight is a true wrestling historian and a wrestling Hall of Famer, the host of A Bear's Thoughts and the co-CEO of the Wrestling Society Network. Everybody give it up for Professor Bear.
Thank you. I started looking around because I'm like, which one of these guys are you talking about?
Also joining the conversation is a 5-time Kentucky Hall of Famer, a true old school wrestling icon who represents the heart and soul of professional wrestling, the Lone Wolf, Bobby Blade.
You messed it up again. I've been on here twice now, and you've messed up my intro both times. You completely disrespected me. It's almost kind of like you don't have a clue who I am. And if you don't know who I am, allow me to introduce myself to you. I'm the meanest, cheatingest, chokingest, eye-pokingest, crotch-kickingest, your mama stickingest, spitting on babies, smacking old ladies, one-man domestic disturbance, the man, the myth, the true old-school icon, the man you paid to see, Lone Wolf Bobby Blade, 5-time Hall of Famer. Now, that's how you do the intro. You got to study it.
I just let him do his own thing, people. It's the best way to do it around here. And returning to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, one half of the powerhouse tag team, Sons of Plunder from the Lone Star State of Texas, bringing the attitude and intensity of the Scandinavian Nightmare, Mr. Warhammer.
How you doing tonight?
We're alive. Together, we are going to break down the legendary champions, debate historic matchups, settle controversial tournament decisions, share unforgettable stories from wrestling's past, and maybe even ruffle a few feathers along the way. Because when it comes to deciding the greatest world heavyweight champion of all time, there are no easy answers and no shortage of opinions. So buckle up, jump in the live chat, get ready for another action-packed night of wrestling talk. 3 legends, 1 tournament, 1 ultimate champion. The road to crowning the greatest world heavyweight champion of all time continues. Now let's ring the damn bell. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Great.
Better than you.
See, I love it. I'm over here fanboying people. I just deal with it. There's nothing else I can say, man.
So here's a quick fun fact.
Okay.
Me and Bobby got inducted into the same Hall of Fame.
See?
Yeah, you were just
it was
saying
fate. It was fate.
Yeah,
it was
last
absolute
year.
Fate.
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome.
Yep.
Well, congratulations to you both because it's very well deserved. I'm sure Mr. Hammer is going to end up in a few of those Texas Hall of Fames.
Yes, sir.
He said, "I'm
hoping.
praying for it.
I'm doing my best, going up and down north and southeast Texas. We're now branching out into Louisiana, hoping to also move into Oklahoma. So, Vikings are invading more and more territories. I want that Hall of Famer status. I'm, Hall of Famer. I see them and I'm like, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Well, gentlemen, before we get into the brackets and everything, I want to go around. I asked everybody last week, and I want to go around and ask you three gentlemen, what do you all consider a great world champion? Is it like the brashness and boldness of like a Stone Cold? Is it the style of a Nick Bockwinkel? Is it the flash and flair of Ric Flair? No pun intended. Is it the patriotic American like Hogan? What is it that when you think world champion comes to mind? We'll start with you, Professor Bear, and we'll just go around the horn.
When I think of a world champion, I think of someone that is gonna carry a brand. You have to be, you have to dress the part. You have to carry yourself in a manner that is almost where you're cocky, but you're confident. You know that the company is on your back, and you welcome that. You welcome challengers. You want to show people that you are what they say you are. You are the greatest champion in the world. That for me, I think about your Bockwinkel's, your Cody Rhodes before he won the WWE title, when he got a chance to hold the NWA and he held the Ring of Honor. I think of Nick Aldis, those James Storm, not yeah. I think of those gentlemen because they carried themselves in a manner that was, man, if I become a world champion, I got the dress. I just can't be in jeans and nothing's wrong with being who you are, but you are more now. You're not a symbol of just you, but the brand. And you want people to take that brand and the sport of wrestling serious.
It's almost like you have to be picture perfect. Ha ha. See what I did there, Bobby? As we throw it over to you, sir, what do you think the champion has to have?
Well, I'm going to echo Professor Bear on that too. Somebody that has to be able to carry the brand, somebody that can talk the talk, walk the walk, have great matches, sell tickets. And the main thing, sell tickets, talk the people into the building, be able to deliver on all fronts, whether it be a Ric Flair who could talk the talk, walk the walk, he could sell the tickets and everything, or a Dusty Rhodes as well. Dusty could talk them into the building. You had Hulk Hogan, the larger than life superhero, character and all that stuff. I mean, it's different things in different territories, and I'm using an old school term there, in territories, because there's no territories anymore, unfortunately. But in different areas of the country and different areas of the world, people are looking for different things. Where Flair and Dusty Rhodes could carry the company anywhere in the world, in my opinion, they work best in the Crockett promotion area, the NWA territories and stuff like that, because they were the embodiment of that brand. Hulk Hogan, he was the embodiment of the WWF and everything. So Hogan, he could get over it anywhere and everywhere and everything. He worked best in the WWF. Same like with the Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler was seen as a regional champion. However, he was, also the AWA champion too, near the end of that promotion's lifespan. And I thought he did a very good job for the short time that he was the champion there. But, they all had one thing in common, and that was charisma. And for me, charisma is everything. Charisma is the reason that people come and buy the tickets. Charisma is the reason they sell the pay-per-views and stuff like that. If you have a guy out there, and this is not this is not bagging on the guy or anything like that, but late 70s Bob Backlund, early 80s Bob Backlund, very dry, kind of boring to mainstream people and all that stuff. There was a reason why Vince McMahon Jr. saw Hulk Hogan and said, hey, let's strap a rocket to his ass and go. Oh, could I say that?
No, you're
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
completely
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's strap a rocket to his back and go with him and everything, because he's got the charisma. He looks like a superhero. He's a big, huge, imposing figure and all that stuff. Very different from a Bob Backlund, And I think that's, at that point in time, that's what they were looking for. But charisma for me is key to everything.
Okay. Warhammer.
I actually didn't have the word. All I could think of was they have the je ne sais quoi. And he said charisma. And I was like, that's the word I was looking for. Why am I going French with it?
Calm down, Frenchie.
So absolutely. It's something, it doesn't have to be the same thing. It's not a cookie cutter thing, but each one of them stands out in amongst the crowd. They are the needle in the haystack that is pushing out the hay. They have knocked everything else out of the way, and they stand in the light because that's the only thing you can see. Yeah, that guy, that's the champion.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with everything you all said. To me, the champion's he's got to be a guy that makes you, for whatever reason, whether you hate him, whether you like him, but he makes you not be able to turn away from what he's saying, what he's doing, and I'll harken back to, again, I'm becoming so much more of an independent wrestler fan. And I'm not a wrestler. Trust me, I'm not getting in there and getting beat up. I see what Bobby goes through whenever he, gives a cutter to 3 cutters in one night, man, but he said, let's not even go there. But I see people, at the shows that I go to now and everything, and it's like everything that everybody's doing, I have to keep my eye on, because they're delivering, exactly what you all said. They're keeping those eyes on them. And just to harken back to Bobby again, I've seen this personally. This man cannot get a word in edgewise, and it's because of the first few times that I seen him, he was doing his stuff and everything. Now the man can't. If you see a microphone in his hand, you might as well just, he might as well just stand there for 3 minutes and let everybody boo and turn around and walk out. He's done his job. But it's that
Easy money.
Yeah, it's that it factor right there. Yeah, and I am tooting your horn, because I tell people all the time, when I've revised my all-time favorite managers. Unfortunately, I never got to see much of your, really any of your work as an in-ring star. But as a manager, man, Bobby Heenan, Bobby Blade. There's you're up there with them, man. You're that good. And it's that for me with, you got to have that in all aspects. Like you said, the charisma. Uncle Slam.
I appreciate that. I wouldn't go that far though, but I do appreciate that.
Trust me. And for me, you do, man. I mean, I'm not joking. I tell people all the time, you are on my Mount Rushmore of managers. There's you, there's that. Heyman, Bobby Heenan, and the fourth guy can be argued till the cows come home. Cornette, maybe. But yeah, you're up there, man. And for me, that is. But anyways, we're not talking about managers, and when we do, we'll bring him back. But we'll start off with the AWA side of things, and I'll show everybody the bracket today. Also, before we get too far into it, I want to shout out to JD and Mayhem Media for helping us out with the visuals on this, but I also want to shout them out, and Heat and Heels. They helped us out with our new video for our entrance song, and the song itself and everything. Added a few sound effects so we could kind of get it updated for you all, and we appreciate them. And go check them out, Heat and Heels and Mayhem Media. But yeah, AWA side, we've got the first match, Vern Gagne, or as I call him, Ganja, Vern Gagne and Nick Bockwinkel. So we will start with the Bear and let him tell you who he thinks would win this match.
So right off the bat, that is a rough one to really dissect, because you're talking about the two greatest, arguably, world champions in AWA. When you talk about Vern Gagne, he is Mr. AWA. If they had that title, he was man enough to break away from the NWA and put that company on the back. And he didn't just talk the talk. He was just such an amazing athlete. He put on 5-star shows with anyone. He could just work. And then you look at Nick Bockwinkel. You know, sometimes I wish that we could go back and let some of these guys be in the modern era, because Nick Bockwinkel is such a underrated world champion. He
Ric Flair before Ric Flair.
To put him in the modern times, Cody Rhodes gets a lot of the Nick Bockwinkel. A lot of people think Flair, but it's more Nick. His wrestling style was such a tremendous thing. His work ethic, and he could talk. He had Bobby the Brain Heenan as a manager, but truly he didn't need Bobby. He could actually go in the ring. Ric Flair calls himself a 60-minute man. Nick Bockwinkel could go 60, 90 minutes easy. So if I have to break it down, and which I do, I'm going to give the slight edge to Nick on this, because as much as Vern technically could out wrestle Nick, in my opinion, Nick was the thinking wrestler. And what you threw at him, he had something always in his back pocket to counter you. So I'm going with Nick.
Okay. One for Nick. Mr. Blade.
Well, Vern Gagne, like Professor Bear said, Vern Gagne was the face of the company forever. You know, he was the promoter and, you know, stuff like that. And so obviously he's going to be the face of the company. But great technical wrestler. You know, the people loved him and everything. However, he kind of seemed to refuse to update his style and change with the times and stuff like that. And he was in there when Nick Bockwinkel was coming up. Nick Bockwinkel comes in and he's wearing the flashy clothes and the suits and all that stuff. And he's got Bobby the Brain Heenan with him. And, you know, he's got a mouthpiece and he's a mouthpiece himself. And they're talking the people into the building, and people just hated. They love to hate Nick Bockwinkel, and they paid money to see him lose. And then he wouldn't lose. So, you know, people would keep coming back to see him lose, and then he'd pull the rug out from under the babyface, you know, and keep the title and stuff like that. I think that alone, the ability to talk the people into the building and have them pay money to buy tickets to see you lose, to see you get beat and everything, I'm going to have to give it to Nick Bockwinkel because of that. I mean, you know, he was the great talker, very, very underrated talker. And a lot of the younger people that, you know, and when I say younger people, they're still older people, because it was when WCW was around. You know, he was the WCW president for a little, commissioner there for a little bit. And, you know, that was the last thing that anybody really saw of him on, you know, mainstream television. So if they saw that and they didn't actually see what a great, phenomenal worker and a great talker he was, you know, they're really missing out. And, you know, and I implore anybody, if you've not seen Nick Bockwinkel as a heel, as the AWA World Heavyweight Champion, you're missing out. Go seek out every video you can of him. Nick Bockwinkel gets my vote for that.
All righty, that's two for Nick. Mr. Warhammer.
Well, these are two I had to look up just to verify, that I did know these names. I don't really know too much about them. They are, before I was watching. So what I read was for Vern. That was my vote. But it was more out of lack of knowledge that I really
Right.
can't really make a true calling.
Right. But you can only go by what you know. So you're voting for Vern?
Yes.
Okay. So that's 2-1. Uncle Slam.
All right, I'm gonna preference a lot of what I say, especially when it comes to AWA. That I didn't watch a lot of it. I know probably a lot more about like the NWA. So a lot of mine is more analytics, titles, length of, like who they beat, that type of stuff. So so I would probably lean on people who actually know a lot more about AWA. But kind of like Warhammer, just doing the little research that I have, I looked up, I saw he was a 10-time champ. He had it from like 1960 to like 1981. He beat everybody. I mean, I guess it helps when you're kind of the founder of the, like organization. I saw Bockwinkel, 4-time champ. I really didn't know much about him. I know that he, as like I said, doing research, he beat Kurt Hennig, he beat Stan Hansen, he beat Larry Zbyszko. Um, but to me, I feel like because of him breaking away from the NWA, being brave enough, to start his own organization, being a 10-time world champ, and just because, like I said, I just have to. I'm like Warhammer. I have to only go by what I know because I didn't get to watch a whole bunch. I'm gonna go with Vern on this one.
Okay. All righty. Also want to shout out to everybody watching. We got the Savior of Wrestling, Chad Casey watching. He was on the show last week. And we've also got, who else we got in here? I believe this is a friend of ours, Professor Bear, the gentleman you was just on his podcast with, Mr. Stein or
Yes,
Steen.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're. I've been chatting with him myself too, and everything about helping him out doing some shows and stuff and everything. So yeah, thank you guys for being in here. Please, everybody, that's tuning in, give us your picks and opinions too. Give us stuff to argue and debate about. He said, "Yes, that's me." All righty. Well, for me, it's kind of already decided. It's Bockwinkel moving on to the next round, but I can't say that again. Like Uncle Slam and Warhammer said, AWA. I really got into to wrestling and really discovered AWA at the very end. So I got to, I didn't get to see the glory days of it with the Hogans and the Bockwinkles and the Heenans and the Rick Martells and all that stuff and everything. And it's real unfortunate. The great thing is you can always go back and watch it on stuff like YouTube now if you can find the right stuff and everything. It's just so mixed up now. It's hard to keep a timeline to go with. But um, I, I think I look at Bockwinkel like, I know everybody says that Ric Flair took the Nature Boys stuff from Buddy Rogers, but I think he took the modernization of that. I believe Bockwinkel was the evolution of Buddy Rogers, and then Flair became the evolution of the combination of that. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Because Bockwinkel, you never, if he was doing an interview, he had at least a button up and a sport coat on. He was class. I'm the champ. I'm class. And just the way he carried himself. I didn't get to see much of Vern Gagne. I really, to be honest, I've seen maybe 3 matches of Vern Gagne, and they were when he was old. So I can't say he was a great wrestler. Can't say he wasn't a great wrestler. I've just never seen him. So for me, it's going to be Bockwinkel. But we have already decided that. You gentlemen did that. So let's see what he say here. I felt Nick was the AWA's Flair anyway. Yes, he was. He was kind of like that 70s Ric Flair, is I guess the best way to say that. All righty, moving on to the next round, or not next round, next match. We've got Mad Dog Vachon versus Larry the Crusher, or whatever you want to call him this week, Zbyszko. I like Larry Zbyszko, man, but he had so many nicknames it wasn't funny. We'll start. We'll start with Professor Bear.
So the Crusher is one of those wrestlers that when you think old school wrestling, when you think down and dirty, just will punch you straight in the mouth over and over and over, you fall and you still getting punched. That's what you get with the Crusher. The Crusher was no nonsense, kick your ass and give me my beer and we'll go to the next town and we'll do it again.
Are you doing the Crusher and Martel, or are you doing Mad Dog and Zbyszko?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
was confused for a second. Yeah,
I called him the Crusher because remember where they called him Larry the Crusher, Zbyszko?
well, no, in the graphic it said the Crusher.
He's in the next match.
Okay, I'm going by what I saw. Oh, duh, I got it mixed up. My bad.
You're totally good, sir.
My bad.
It's been a long day. You just jumped from another podcast into us. We appreciate it.
Well, but here's the funny part about it. You can say the same thing about Mad Dog Vachon. The Vachons are one of those wrestling families that should be talked about when you talk about dynasties, when you talk about the Harts, you talk about the Von Erichs, you talk about the Rhodes. The Vachons are something special that do not get enough. They don't get enough gratitude for what they did for the sport of wrestling. Again, another no hold nonsense type of wrestler. He would just beat you down anywhere you went, no matter what. And there wasn't no such thing as cheating for them. It was whatever takes to win. It wasn't cheating. It wasn't fair play. It was wrestling.
It was winning.
No, it wasn't even winning. It was wrestling. It was a fight.
Right.
And that's what he brought to the table. Larry Zbyszko, oh my goodness, you could talk about the lineage of history that he has been under. One of the few men to take out arguably one of the greatest world champions of all time, and in the WWF.
Oh, Bruno.
So, but we're talking about the AWA. He, for a long time, he never could get over that hump to get that title. He never could do it. He was such this close away. Then he finally got a hold to the title. Unfortunately for him, it was the dying days of AWA. And unfortunately, as much as I love Larry Zbyszko as a heel, as a commentator, and everything he brought to the sport of wrestling, I don't think of him as a world champion. Unfortunately, and I don't say this with any disrespect, he was a transitional champion to a dying company. So my pick is Mad Dog.
All right, yes, one for Mad Dog. Mr. Blade.
I'm going to once again echo what Professor Bear said. The Vachons, I don't think are talked about enough. You had Mad Dog Vachon, Butcher Vachon, all the little Vachons and, all that stuff and everything.
Luna.
Luna. Great wrestling family, often forgotten about though.
Yep.
For me, loads of charisma as well. And I'm going to talk about charisma this entire time because that does it for me. Mad Dog Vachon was great in the ring. One of my favorite promos is where he's making the casket. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't. I'm gonna have to look at this.
Yeah, look it up. It's
Beautiful.
awesome.
Beautiful.
It is awesome. Yeah. However, I look across the ring and I see Larry Zbyszko, and here's a guy over here that's got the gift of gab, and he's talking about taking people to Larry Land and calling people spud heads and everything. You know, he was the champion. It took him a long time to get there, and I believe that he was the last ever AWA World Heavyweight Champion, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, correct me on that.
No, you're right.
He was the champion when the company closed. They put it on him too late. I think if they put it on him 5-10 years earlier, would have been much better. Larry Zbyszko, I can talk about him. I'm a big fan of him. I can talk about him as long as his WWE Hall of Fame speech was, and that was pretty long. But Larry Zbyszko, charisma wins out again. I'm going to go with Larry Z.
Oh, wow. Okay. We got Larry Z. All righty. Well, Mr. Warhammer.
And this was one I had to, look up. I know more about Zbyszko from his WCW time, so I never saw him wrestle. But to me, the moniker Mad Dog, that was the charisma I felt in my head, because there's going to be people that are afraid of him just because of his name. I'm sorry, when someone's Larry Zbyszko, that doesn't strike fear in the heart of warriors. But someone coming at you named Mad Dog, barking at you, okay. He's, as someone who brings a giant hammer to the ring, it's just a little persuasion to get that. Oh, he's serious. Okay.
We can talk. So who are you going with, buddy?
It is Mad Dog.
Mad Dog. Okay, so we got 2 for Mad Dog, 1 for Zbyszko. Well, you said something about Zbyszko, and all I could think is Nabisco.
TV commercials.
Yes, I mean it's a jingle. Now go ahead, Uncle Slam. Who you got?
All right. On this one, I think this one was a little bit easier for me. I only know really Larry from WCW. Like when I did my research, he's only like a 2-time champ. Like you kind of said before, like they gave it to him towards the end. He was the final champ, like before they closed down a couple years later. Magdal Vachon, the family, 5-time champ. He had it for at least, I think, over 700 days. Beat people like Crusher, beat people like William Snyder. So to me, I think this is a little bit easier pick. So I'm gonna go with Mad Dog on this one.
Well, Mad Dog has won out already, and I was going to echo those sentiments too. I love Larry Zbyszko. I really do. I think he's a great commentator. I think he is one of the voices of Nitro. When I think of Nitro and everything, just like, to me, when I think Nitro, I think Shivani, I think Larry Zbyszko, and I think Bobby Heenan. I think that was their best little team that they had. I really liked whenever, Zbyszko came out off the booth and everything and was fighting. I think it was, who was it, X-Pac for a little bit, and Bischoff and everything. No, or was it Scott Hall that he was going?
Yeah, it was Scott Hall.
It was Scott Hall. It was Scott Hall. But when all that happened, and I personally think he was a part of one of the top 4 greatest factions of all time in the Dangerous Alliance. That faction right there, I don't know what it was WCW was doing, but they wasn't doing nothing they should have been doing around that time, because that faction should have been running roughshod all over everybody.
Oh my God.
There's no reason why why was nobody in that faction a world champion at that time? I'm sorry, they had plenty of people to do it. But anyways, that's a whole nother show too. But it was just, him. I like Larry, but I went back and I've watched stuff about Mad Dog Vachon, and he was just as what's that dude from Pineapple Express? Like you said, he was ruthless. He was in everything you want the big bad wrestler to be, and that's exactly what he was. So I had to go with Mad Dog too, even though it was a moot point. So Mad Dog wins 4-1. All righty, let's see. who we got any more? Nope, nobody's talking in the stuff. I don't see anybody. Just making sure we're catching up on the chat here. Make sure nobody's screaming at us or anything and wanting to give us the double eye poke. All righty. This round we've got the Crusher and we've got Rick, not yet the model, Martel. He ain't even Can-Am Connection, Rick Martel yet. We will start out with Warhammer on this one, and we will go back around.
This was another one that I had to look up, and again, just going by what I can pull up and the charisma that I can find. The Crusher, again, the name alone is something that sets you apart from any of these two name jabronis, and that's I don't know another way to describe it, but that is my pet peeve, and it always has been. I understand it started with actual names and then they became fake names, but I need the fake names. I need the fake names.
He said, I need the fake names. The fake names is what does it for me. So you going with the Crusher?
Yes.
All righty, Mr. Blade.
And Crusher, man, he came out to the beer barrel polka, and that's you got to go over on just that fact alone right there. Anybody comes out to the beer barrel polka, but he's big, tough guy, very believable, had the cigar and everything. The people absolutely loved him and Crippler Ray Stevens together, man.
Yep.
And, once Ray Stevens left and everything and the Crusher stayed around, the people stayed with the Crusher. Always was the people's favorite, always very believable in the ring, super over. People loved him, sold tickets like crazy. Rick Martel, he had the looks. He was, in my opinion, he was probably the AWA's first ever good-looking babyface champion. Now, to me, Rick Martel was great as the model. Rick Martel was a great AWA heavyweight champion, but it was always the fire, the babyface fire he had was always very manufactured.
Yes.
If that's the right term I'm looking. He's like, come on, come on, let's go. That Crusher was more organic. He got over organically just by being a big, bad, brute, tough guy. I'm going to vote for the Crusher here.
All right. 2 for the Crusher, Mr. Bear.
So I had my ideal before we started. And I'm probably one of those people that knew Rick Martel as the AWA champion. For me, when I really can go back in my memory, I can remember it was Rick Martel, it was Ric Flair, and it was Bob Backlund. Them were the 3 world champions I remember. I remember that all 3 wrestled each other in unification matches.
Yep.
Of course, all of them in the disqualifications, but it was something as a kid for me is like, wow, world champions are trying to see who can be the ultimate world champion. And Rick carried himself as a champion. He wrestled as a champion. Now, once he went to the WWF, to me, they destroyed who he was. He had such a great way, and it got destroyed to become a character. But I always, when I look at Rick, I see him as the AWA heavyweight champion when it was still mattered. Now, again, I started on the Crusher of how he was no nonsense. The cigars, and I mean, you can come up with so many different adjectives for the Crusher, but the one thing you never question was his loyalty to the sport and his style. His style never changed. He was straight on. He will punch you in the face. He might hit you in the headlock. It was where a headlock could damn near finish a match. That's how he was. And I'm not going to lie, I was going to go with Rick Martel, but after listening to Bobby and thinking about it more, you have to go with Crusher. So I'm
A
going
heel
with
manager promoting a heel character.
but the thing is, most managers don't lie. That's the point of it. He's just accentuating what is already there, and he did a great job because he sure made me switch.
He said you made me, you know, for me, it was always again, I didn't get to see much of the Crusher. What I've seen of him, you know, I would just be echoing everything you all said. He was what you wanted, you know, and I do agree with Warhammer a little bit too. And I know it's kind of funny, but I do miss those guys that just had a name, like an earthquake or a typhoon, or why do I have to be, you know, Rick the Typhoon Bobby, you know, or whatever, you know. Sorry, his first name.
I've never heard in my life.
It really is. That's why I don't
Oh,
work behind the
God.
scenes in any promotions, Bobby. What do you? That's why I do a podcast, man.
He's still on Creative Wrestler.
Right.
Don't quit your day job.
But but you know, I mean, I don't have to know your real name to, you know, get into your character and everything. So I see why everybody was a big, you know, Crusher fan and stuff, especially in that time. As far as Martel goes, I liked Martel as a good guy. I think he kind of fit that 80s tone of a good guy. But I always feel like, just like his tag team partner, his, like Bobby said, his good guy stuff was manufactured. Like, and I tell you, somebody else, his tag team partner, Tom Zink. I felt like it was the same way with him too. I love Tom Zink, but I think that always having to be like, yeah, let's go, guys. You know, that guy, he never could get over to do anything else. When he became the model, I think they totally missed the bus on him, because in my opinion, there's no reason why Rick Martel shouldn't be being talked about as the greatest intercontinental champion of all time. The matches that him and Kurt Hennig could have had, you know, him and Bret Hart could have had, you know, during that time when Bret was coming up through there and then transitioning over into that first little bit of Raw and stuff with Shawn Michaels and stuff coming up through the intercom. Man, that could have been some Owen Hart. The wrestling in that time could have been great if they'd have pushed him a little bit more. There would have been so much more done. But just knowing what I know, and I like Martel, but I got to give it to the Crusher too myself, because he's just, yeah, he was just more. I feel like in that era and at that time, as great as Martel was. Uncle Slam.
It's about to be a sweep because I'm going to go with the Crusher too on this one. Like I said, I didn't know anything about the Martel and stuff for WWE, and really didn't know anything about him being a world champ until I started this podcast and we were talking about world champ. So, like I said, now he did have it for about a year and a half or something like that, which I think was like the third longest reign in the AWA. But the Crusher was a 3-time champ. He was like Stone Cold before Stone Cold. Like you said, blue collar, beer drinking, like you said, cigar. He beat the Vachons. He beat Vern Gennon. Had it for at least 122 days. I think it's pretty easy on this one.
I have to agree. So it is the Crusher getting through once again. Yes, he did. I'm updating the brackets too, guys, so that we'll be able to see the next round as we go. The last match in the first round is Jerry the King Lawler versus not yet perfect Kurt Hennig. I'm sorry, not Henning. Ever since somebody pointed that out to me, it's messed my whole world up, and I believe that's my number one Mandela effect now. Is his name used to be Kurt Henning? It was never Hennig. I'm sorry. This is we're in the wrong timeline. If anybody agrees, just blink. We don't want the government to know. But that's a whole nother show too. But no, so let's start with Professor Bear again. Who you got, Professor Bear? Jerry the King or not Henning?
Honestly, I think this is so unfair. This is a bad matchup because we know what happened when they did meet. Because the King took the title off of Kurt Hennig. And again, Kurt is so underrated for not being a world champion, and he was one, a damn good one. Again, it was at a bad point in time for the AWA, but he was an amazing champion, and I love the transition from a baby face to a heel he did. He did some amazing work. People who love the Mr. Perfect gimmick, if they could have saw what he did in the AWA, they would have understood why Vince wanted him and wanted him badly. With that being said, you do not, I repeat, you do not go to Memphis for any match with Jerry the King Lawler. He's not that old commentary person that hollers puppy. Jerry was one of the meanest, smartest, ruthless wrestlers of all time. Jerry put, if you look up Genius, you have to see Jerry the King Lawler there. That everything Jerry did meant something. It from him getting run over to by a car on live TV to him pile driving Kaufman, slapping the hell out of him on a talk show. Jerry knew how to work a crowd, no matter what, whether face, heel, it did not matter. Jerry, to this day, and fun fact, Jerry has the most title wins in wrestling history.
Yes.
So, with all that being said, if this is not a clean sweep, I'm going to be disappointed. Jerry the King Lawler.
He said, I'm going to be mad.
No, I'm just going to be disappointed.
I'm going to be disappointed. I ain't even going to tell you, man. There'll be signs. All right, Mr. Blade, tell us who you think.
Man, I was hoping you'd just skip over me on this one here because these are two of my favorites, man. And I'm going to be speaking from the heart and favoritism here. Now, Kurt Hennig was an amazing AWA world champion. And if I'm not mistaken, he won that from Nick Bockwinkel. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yes,
he did
sir.
beat Nick Bockwinkel, ended that title reign there, and it was Bockwinkel's last ever title reign. Professor Bear said it, the transition was right there, to the heel, from babyface to the heel, and it was great. And he became the champion that you wanted to see get beat. It was cool, Kurt Hennig. He was, very cocky. He was awesome. He was perfect. Perfect, quote unquote. However, he's facing Jerry the King Lawler, who is one of my all-time favorites. And I grew up watching Memphis wrestling. I was always a lifelong Jerry the King Lawler fan. I've been on a lot of shows with Jerry Lawler, and he's always been nice to me. However, not everybody's had the same interaction with him. But my interactions with him have all been very, very positive. And he complimented me on one of my matches one night that I had. All he said was, "Good job, kid," and gave me a thumbs up and kept on walking. I was over the moon, and you couldn't tell me anything else after that.
That's better than winning the world title.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised by how many younger people do not realize that Jerry the King Lawler was a wrestler.
Right.
They, a lot of people say, Jerry Lawler, one of your favorites, the commentator
From WE.
Yeah, and that's what their impression of Jerry the King Lawler is. They didn't have a clue about all this great stuff that he did in Memphis, all this great stuff he did in the AWA, all this great stuff he did in World Class. Now, sometimes for me, and then this is just for me, watching the AWA was like watching paint dry. However, in 1988, when Lawler won the championship, and they were building towards Super Clash 3.
Yep.
That was some of the best television I've ever seen, wrestling-wise, TV-wise, reality TV-wise, anything. Because they had all those promotions in there, and you had Jerry Lawler on top, you had Kerry Von Erich on top. And then you couldn't wait to see Super Clash 3 and see this big matchup and everything. Of course, you know how Kerry Von Erich showed up, and he was inebriated. The match was good, but Jerry Lawler did the best that he could with it. Now, for me, the Jerry Lawler stuff that I remember the best is coming out of Memphis, because that was my childhood, and I could talk all day long about Jerry the King Lawler, Lawler this, Lawler that, King of Memphis, blah blah blah, getting hit by Eddie Gilbert's car. Or Eddie Gilbert hit him with the car, I should say, and all this great stuff, all this memorable stuff. He could talk the talk, he could walk the walk, he could sell the tickets, he could make you want to pay to see Jerry the King Lawler versus Superstar Bill Dundee for the 5,000th time in the Mid-South Coliseum or Rupp Arena, because they always wrestled each other. However, every promo that he cut was a brand new promo, and it stirred up more interest to get you into the buildings, to get you to buy a ticket. I love Kurt Hennig. I love Kurt Hennig. I love Mr. Perfect. Jerry Lawler takes it with the chain.
Jerry Lawler. Okay, so that's 2 for Lawler. Mr. Hammer.
So now we're getting into some names that I do know. I do know him as Mr. Perfect and a little bit before, but man, everything he did was perfect. So I understand that he earned that name. He doesn't have as much charisma as the King. And all I can leave it with is there is only one King, and that's Jerry Lawler.
I 100% agree with that myself. Mr. Slam, I think it's already pretty much decided, but who you got, sir?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Like I said, it's probably gonna be a clean sweep on this, but I'm gonna say my little piece, real quick. I guess get on my soapbox. I love Kurt Hennig. I've always liked him as a wrestler. I'm one of those people that didn't get to see him wrestle in the AWA. I know him only as Mr. Perfect. Now, as doing research, I got to watch a couple matches or whatever. I wish I got to see a lot more, like when he was younger or whatever. Jerry Lawler, I'm also one of those people that didn't know him before. As like I said, I knew him as a commentator. Like I said, I knew but once I started doing my podcast and doing all the research I've done to figure out how great he was, and honestly, he might be one of the greatest world champions that there is, just because of all the titles that he has won and going through the territories. But it is really easy on this one, and man, it's Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, he's the king for the reason. But I do love Kurt Hennig. Like, I wish I could pick him. My heart's saying Kurt Hennig, but the facts are just going with the king on this one.
I have to 100% agree. It's already settled. Jerry the King Lawler will be going over Kurt Hennig. I'll get the updated brackets up here in just a second. I got to agree, though. I didn't know a whole lot about. I would catch Memphis wrestling now and again. I really hit whenever Hulk Hogan hit big, and that's whenever like I really got introduced to wrestling and was started getting interested in it. I seen this thing called NWA that was on every now and then on a Saturday morning or something. I'd catch it, or, something like a Sunday night or a Saturday night when I wasn't outside playing. It didn't look like much to me and everything, but as me and Professor Bear have discussed, I now am like the biggest NWA fan there ever is. I love the NWA, but probably my favorite promotion of all time. But, you know, Lawler to me, I didn't get to see much when he was in his heyday. I really started catching a lot of his stuff in the early WWF with him and Brett going at each other and everything. I always enjoyed his mic work. He was always funny. Reminded me of my uncle who was always quick witted with one liners like that and everything. And then, because of that, going back and looking at some of Jerry Lawler's stuff, I honestly and truthfully, when people ask the question, who could have had the machine behind them and ran it as good as Hogan, and everybody always says Dusty. Yeah, I'm not saying Dusty couldn't have, but I guarantee you Jerry Lawler could have. I guarantee you, if Lawler was put in that position, we could have been talking about Lawler Mania and the true king of wrestling of all time. With that behind him, yeah, Lawler Palooza, exactly. But yeah, I just think Lawler was just that good. It has nothing to do with Henning or anything like that. Henning's great. I love Kurt Hennig. I didn't like him at the time, but that's what made him so great. He was perfect. And I mean, who else can throw a football to themselves? And chew gum and spit it and hit it. And,
I've tried that. That's hard.
And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this: one of the greatest things I ever seen at any WWE, independent, whatever, was when Kurt Hennig as Mr. Perfect I can't say his name right ever. It's Hennig to me. I don't care what they say.
In the South, it was pronounced Hennig.
Right. I don't know what happened to people, but yeah, I'm living in a different timeline. But anyways, he was getting in the ring and he did a behind the back toss with his towel and it landed perfectly on Mr. Hughes's shoulder. I was like, it's true. He really is perfect. I was like, for a second, I was like, maybe he did catch that football, man. I don't know. Man. All righty. So to give you all the updated brackets, we have got Bachwinkle, Mad Dog Vachon, and then we've got the Crusher and Jerry Lawler. So whenever you all gentlemen are ready, we will get into round 2 real quick.
So before we start, can I give a fun fact about Jerry Lawler?
Yes, sir.
Jerry Lawler came close to becoming the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. When the NWA broke away from the WCW and they had the international title, they were in talks in bringing Jerry Lawler there to win the tournament to become the champion. And him and Luger were going to have a title versus title unification match. The reason Lawler did not come is because he didn't want to lose to Luger.
I mean, I ain't nobody saying nothing bad about anybody in the business, but I mean, has anybody ever watched Lex Luger take a bump? It's like he gingerly lays down and stuff and everything, and like his arms are just perfectly beside him as I'm like, dang man, he don't loosen up for nothing, does he? He's flexing on the way down too.
I have to admit, back then I was a big Luger mark. I was as a kid. I couldn't help it. And I think Jerry Lawler had the ability to be the NWA world champion and the WCW world champion if he only would have did business. Is that not a crazy concept
is.
to think of?
It is. It's very crazy. It's yeah, because could you imagine? Yeah, that the matches and everything. Yeah, that would have been great. I don't know. I was watching Nitro one day and seen Luger fall, and I was like, "What's wrong with him? Why did he do that?" I was like,
It's hard to bump if you're a brick.
I mean, yeah. I was like, I started to wonder, is anybody man so tightened up all the time? I wonder if he ever passes gas. Jeez, man. I was like, well, you talk about working stiff. Oh, let's see. We got sounds like Bruiser Brody situation.
Oh,
That was terrible. Yeah, I've been trying to get Uncle Slam to do a show about Bruiser Brody. But yeah. All righty, getting on to the next round. We have got Nick Bockwinkel versus Mad Dog Vachon, and we're gonna go backwards this time. Uncle Slam, what you got?
All right, let's see. On this one, I want to go with the Vachons, but I'm going to have to go with Bonkwinkle. After listening to a lot of what everybody said, even though I know more about the Vachons, I know he's a 5-time champ. I know, like I said, he's had it for longer. But from listening to what everybody says and his impact and his charisma and the way, you know, like I said, I think he had it from 1970 to 1980. What 50? What no 87? So like over almost what 15 years and shit of running shit. Um, it's kind of hard. Like I said, I mean, I really do like the Vachons, but like I said, Bockwinkel's gonna have this one.
All righty, so we got one for Bach. Mr. Hammer.
I'm going to go with Mad Dog. Just, I mean, the name inspires fear. Like that's the charisma that I'm talking about. It starts from the name.
So you said Vachon?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
So
Okay.
it's 1-1 right now.
1-1. Okay, that was surprising. I actually thought he was going to go with Bockwinkel, Mr. Blade.
Well, they always talk about Bockwinkel. If you ask him, what time it is, he's going to tell you how to build a watch. Well, he's going to, you're going to build that watch, and then Mad Dog Vachon's going to break it. However, while he's busy breaking that watch, here's the chain wrapped around Bockwinkel's fist, and boom, when he turns around, 1, 2, 3, Bockwinkel.
All righty, so we got Bockwinkel with 2 and Vachon with 1. Mr. Bear.
I'm gonna make this as easy as possible. Which one would you rather have? Would you rather have the strength or the intelligence? The intelligence is going to win 10 times out of 10 because no matter how strong you are, you can easily outthink that strength, use their strength against them. I love Mad Dog Vachon, love him, but there's no way that Bockwinkel, because that's his element. He beat you before you even get in the ring. It's Bockwinkel.
I have to agree. I think Nick Bockwinkel, again, he's what I think of as a world champion. He just fits that mold. I just intelligent. He didn't have to be stronger than you. He just had to be smarter than you. And as long as you can be smarter than them, well, I can get you in any situation and beat you. I'll make you beat yourself, if that's the case. So yeah, it's Bockwinkel for me. So yeah, 4-1. Nick Bockwinkel goes on to the next round, and we have got wrong one. That's the wrong one, I believe. Yes, we have got Crusher versus Jerry Lawler. Let's go backwards this time. Start with the professor.
Unfortunately, this is basically the same situation. And what I always found funny about Jerry Lawler, he was not the biggest. He wasn't the meanest. But Jerry was the most intelligent wrestler in the room. Jerry was always thinking he played chess while everybody else played checkers. And if he had to give up a couple of blows and getting kicked here and there to get to his ultimate goal, Jerry was going to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. Jerry's a tough guy. Jerry can hang with the best of them, but that wasn't his strength. His strength was intelligence. He played the game well. He most times had his opponent beat before they even got a chance to step foot in the ring. It's Jerry.
All righty, we got one for Jerry, Mr. Blade.
Well, yeah, the Crusher's super over in the AWA. Like I said before, the people absolutely loved him. He got over organically. I think, he steps in there with Jerry Lawler. It's going to be pretty one-sided for a long time. Crusher's going to answer everything Lawler's got. He's going to counter attack everything that he's got. He's going to fight him. He's going to beat him down. He's going to nearly break him in half. And as over and as loved as the Crusher is at AWA, you can't have a great babyface without a great villain. Jerry Lawler's a great villain. I'm saying referee takes a biz ump, goes down, fireball to the face, covers, referee wakes up 1, 2, 3. Jerry Lawler goes over.
I like it. I like the finish. I like the finish there. Mr. Hammer.
See, and this is, stepping a little bit outside of wrestling, but history doesn't remember very many of the foot soldiers. They don't remember the people on the battlefields. They remember the generals. They remember the kings, every one of them.
Let's see where this is going. I believe the writing's on the wall there, Mr. Slam.
All right. Well, I'm going to probably break rank here because, I know everybody's pretty much going for Jerry on this, and I understand why, because of the king is the king. But if this was talking about greatest wrestlers, I would be like, Jerry, you got this. But we're talking about AWA champs, and with the Crusher being a 3-time champ, I think 3's a little bit bigger than 1. For this instance, I got to give it to the Crusher. I think that the Crusher is a better AWA. Now, like we're talking about Memphis Wrestling, if we're talking about anything else as far as wrestling or another organization, I'd probably give it to the King. But on this one, I got to give it to the Crusher.
Okay. I totally get it. I get what you're saying about 3 is bigger than 1. And I also get what everybody else has echoed about Jerry Lawler. And at the end of the day, it kind of sucks because his big one was, like they said, at the end of the run of AWA. Excuse me again. The Crusher was there during the heyday. He had his titles there whenever everything was going good and everything. 3 is bigger than 1. But at the end of the day, and I mean this is no disrespect, people are going to remember Jerry Lawler more than the Crusher. And that's just, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just the way it is. And I think as far as impact, I think the name Jerry Lawler being champion 1 time carries more weight than the Crusher's 3 titles. And that doesn't, I'm not taking anything away from his titles. I just think that the reason Jerry was the champ was because we got to put the title on this guy and try to save his company. And he was the guy that you could do that. Unfortunately, no single guy can save any company. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be a concerted effort, but from everybody. But I think Jerry Lawler outranks here, so I'm going to give my vote to Lawler going forward. So, go ahead.
Let me say this: with title reigns, the amount of title reigns doesn't necessarily have to mean much more than one, because you can look at what someone does with their reign versus how many reigns, and it doesn't mean anything. Prime example, Rey Mysterio. He had 3, 4 in the WWE, and most people don't even remember that. Versus, hell, you could take someone that had Sami Zayn will get more remembrance out of his 9-day title reign than Rey Mysterio Jr. And that's no disrespect to Rey, but it's not just being able to have championships, because if that was the case, this would have been Vern's, because he had the most.
Right.
But
Right.
that's
Well,
just
I also voted for Vern too. So.
no. And again, I'm not trying to knock who you voted for or anything.
Oh no. Like I mean, this is all a discussion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, but I just got to be true to who I am, and if
Right.
I feel like so and so. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, and this is what we're here for, is to talk about it. So I don't have any issues like if everybody disagrees. I mean,
I like the
that's just what
fact
it is.
that's what I like about doing these is like, there's no formula. Everybody can grade on their own scale. Just like I said, for Bobby, it was charisma. For you, it was this. For me, it was that and everything. And we're all grading on different scales. That's what makes the discussion, especially in wrestling, I think so
Right.
great. And that's why I like doing these. Looks like the finals we got here is Mr. Bockwinkel versus Mr. Lawler. We will start with Mr. Slam and go around clockwise.
All right. Much as I like Jerry, I'm gonna go with Bockwinkel on this one. Like I said, when I think of AWA from doing all the research that I have, he is Mr. AWA. Jerry's he is the king, but I don't think he's the king of AWA. Like I said, if we were talking wrestling as a whole, Jerry's in that conversation, but we're just talking about AWA World Championships right now. And Nick Bockwinkel is on probably everybody's, I'd say, at least top 5 to top 3 list when it comes to AWA World Champion. So I think this is kind of easy for me. I'm going to go with Nick. I think he is the greatest AWA champ.
All right, we got one for Nick, Mr. Hammer.
See, I'm gonna switch it up and throw it back to the king, just for the fact that the name has stuck longer. Yes, you're talking about Nick Bockwinkel, but the fact that people are still talking about the king today, aside from his wrestling, him from wrestling, but other people have seen him as commentary. They've seen him transition in his career, but it's stuck. You remember the Kings. I
get it, Mr. Blade.
Man, what a tough one here, man. Seriously. I'm looking at, I wrote them all down here too. So I'm going and looking at this, and I've been thinking about this, and man, I want to pick Lawler. I want to, but Nick Bockwinkel is in the ring with him. And Nick Bockwinkel, like Uncle Slam said, he is the AWA. I think, oh man, this is a tough one.
It's hard.
This is a tough one.
This is why we do this.
That's exactly right. That
The
is
tough
exactly
choices.
Right. I think if I'm booking it as they're going to try to out-heel each other. Bockwinkel shoots Lawler to the buckle, comes charging, big boot, boom, takes him down, feet on the ropes. Lawler takes it. I don't know if I'm happy with that because it's Nick Bockwinkel. But I love Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler's everything.
But you want to tune in next week. And
right.
see
You can always have the return match, man.
You gotta see what happens.
Yeah, this is the best of 7 series here.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah, I'm picking Lawler. I'm picking Lawler.
And it's all going to come to a head. It's Super Clash 3 this Saturday.
Oh, man.
Only on closed circuit TV. All righty. Professor Bear, who you got?
For me, it's not that tough because Nick Bockwinkel is AWA. No matter how you slice what amazing work Jerry did with the little time he had, there's no way that he could outclass, outfox, outdirty Nick Bockwinkel. And damn sure couldn't out wrestle him, Nick Bockwinkel.
It's tied up.
All right, so we got 2 and 2. So
Legend.
I got on a side note here. Sorry, I just looked up, man, and everything, and I'm over here. I always put a pay-per-view on whenever I'm doing these shows and everything in the background, and I'm watching a Great American Bash, and I'm over here watching Nikita Koloff put Ric Flair in a bear hug, and I'm over here looking, and why does the referee look like somebody they just ran out from behind a friggin' like from an old Navy store, and like the dude's
Hey,
got like
make $20. Come here.
right, he's got duck head khakis on and a teal shirt like a polo, and that's like I was like, look, security
It won't
ran
be on
out. What's
TV.
going on? But no, getting on to it, yeah, I got to give it to Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel is, when I think AWA, he's what I think of. That, you know, unfortunately, because of the history of like something like the NWA, I think of a lot more people. You know, WWE had a longer lineage. I think more people. But when I think of the AWA, you know, it's Nick Bockwinkel. He was the face of that company for, you know, pretty much the Bockwinkel or Gagne is the two people that I have to, you know, give when I think of the AWA. So because Burns not in this and Bockwinkel is, I have to give it to Bockwinkel for the AWA. If we were talking about wrestling in general, then I'd have to give it to Lawler. But, you know, just tune into Bobby's show next week and you'll have the return match from his final. So Nick Bockwinkel takes that side, and we are going to flip sides over here and go to the next one, which is the NWA side. Now this one's going to get interesting. Yeah, I love the NWA. It's one of my favorite organizations, to be honest with you. So I have to, yeah, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this whole thing just to sit down here and talk with you guys about this stuff. So starting out, I mean, that's a hard match. We're going to start out with the first one. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get it out of the way, and let's go backwards this time and put Uncle Slam on the hot seat. Uncle Slam,
All
you
right.
got Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes. Who you?
Okay, finally some people that I know a little bit more about that I didn't have to just do research, that I actually can say, hey, I saw these people, I know who they are. Yeah, thank God. Whew. Okay. Now, I'm going to make a case for both, but it's really, really pretty easy. As much as I like Dusty, you know, he was a 3-time champ, but he had a lot of short title reigns. And I'm going to read a little statistic real quick. Talked about it took Dusty 10 times he 10 times to beat Jack Briscoe, Terry Funk 20 times, and Harley Race 27 times before he actually could beat him. And we're talking about he's going against Harley Race right now after Harley is an 8-time champ, over 1,000 days, beat Dory Funk Jr., Terry Funk, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. Man, this is a clean super. And I love Dusty. Like, Dusty was, you know, the people's champ. He was the blue collar guy, you know what I'm saying? His Hard Times promo, you know what I'm saying, from way back. But as much as I like Dusty, man, Harley Race is that man. Is that man when it comes to freaking NWA right now.
All righty. So we got one for Dusty, Mr. Hammer.
No, Race. Harley
Oh,
Race.
race.
Yeah, Harley.
My bad.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
I was looking at the name Dusty on the thing whenever I said that. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I mean, this one's easy. I mean, I'm gonna disagree with Unc over there. Just because it took him 27 times. Imagine that underdog story. I mean, he is the working man's champion. He embodied everything that you wanted to see. Yeah, you were rooting for him every time he stepped into the ring. I'm going with Dusty Rhodes. He there's that charisma, and it doesn't matter whether he was heel, whether he was face. You wanted to see him. You wanted to see him succeed when he was face, and you wanted to see him get his ass beat when he was heel. So, Dusty Rhodes.
All right, we got 1-1, Mr. Blade.
Man, don't do this to me.
Did it again. Did it again.
Okay, well, you got Harley Race, handsome Harley Race, multiple time world heavyweight champion of the NWA, Crockett Promotions and all that,
Yep.
Greatest wrestler on God's green earth, just listen to his promos, he'll tell you. Unbelievably believable. Everything that he did was delivered with purpose. It was slow paced and it was deliberate and no wasted movement whatsoever. You believed every single thing that he was doing. When he cut promos, you believed him because he believed himself, So his promos were believable. So couple that, the promos, the believable promos with the believable in-ring work, you got a winner there. However, he's going against the bull of the woods, if you will.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
And Dusty Rhodes, there is nobody on earth that had more charisma than Dusty Rhodes. There is nobody on earth that looked like that and got over as much as he got over with the people. They loved him. He was the blue collar champion. He was, the original people's champion. He's, the hard times for, put your hand out and touch my hand. Amazing. Yeah, he Dusty Rhodes made stars. He made people. He took Baby Doll. And with one thing, when Baby Doll turned on him, he says, "Baby Doll, you Jezebel." And the people hated Baby Doll. And the same thing with Dark Journey. He made Dark Journey a star. Everybody he worked with, Tully Blanchard over the TV title. I'm getting on fire talking about Dusty Rhodes now.
I know it.
His matches with Flair, oh my God. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm going 125% the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes over handsome Harley Race right now. I don't think that it gets any better than Dusty Rhodes, except for one guy. And I'll tell you that one a little bit later.
All right. I was almost to the point to where I thought we were going to get Bobby standing up and giving us a little boogie, a little jive, a little bit of this. I thought he was getting into it, man. I was like, dude, hey, go ahead, man. I need the ratings.
You don't understand how much I love Dusty Rhodes. I love Dusty Rhodes. Talking about, people that can talk people into the building. He did it. He did. I'm sorry, Professor Bear, I'm taking away from your time. But there's one promo he cut on a Saturday night where he had been talking about this fat woman sitting on the front row. And then he comes out and he goes, you know what I'm talking about? He comes out and he goes, "My mama called me and she said, baby doll, look at yourself in the mirror. You owe this woman an apology." So I got my cheetahs, and he goes and he says, "Let me put these on and I'll take a good look and see if I need to apologize or not." And he puts his glasses on and he looks over at this fat woman. He's like, "Oh my God." And he takes off running out of the studio, and it's amazing. And I can watch that 150 times a day and never get tired of it.
See, that's awesome. He said Bobby was about to sing Common Man theme song.
I was.
I wish to God when he was talking, I'd have had it queued up, man. I started playing it, or at least had a cowbell. Tick, tick.
Hey, I actually was listening to it in the car when I went and got my dinner tonight.
That's great.
We actually have a manager in my promotion, and he was doing a Dusty Rhodes, but he was Dusty Malibu. and he had the same glasses. He had a little toothpick. He talked the same. Yeah.
I love it.
Great.
I love it.
Great. Go ahead, Professor Bear. Sorry.
Oh no. I mean, the thing is, it's gonna be twofold. Baby, I need you to put out your hands, and I need y'all to feel me when I tell you this. I need you to understand that I love you, Uncle Slam, but I have to correct you on your facts, baby.
Ooh, baby.
Harley
baby.
didn't beat Dusty for the title. It was Dusty beating Harley, baby.
Oh yeah.
And he got the one win, baby. And what I say is Harley's a mean man. He don't play around, baby. But see, the thing is, when you had the people behind you, baby, you got the American dream, baby. When you got the common man behind you, baby, there's no one, and I mean no one, that can outstand the American dream, baby. So I have to go with the American dream, even though I do love Harley and I respect him because he was one hell of a man. He was a man's man, if you will, but he wasn't the American dream, baby.
Man, y'all got me in tears over here. Woo.
I just want to say,
It's like he was in the room with us.
I want to thank you all because y'all just gave me so much material to post this week. Stay tuned for all the shorts, ladies and gentlemen. These are
And
gonna
each
be
one of
great.
us doing something else.
Yes,
Just
there's
totally wild.
each one of these guys just done a Dusty Rhodes impression, and I promise you, it's going to end up on a short this week. That was absolutely great to sit back and watch. And as much as I love Harley and everything, Harley was Uncle Slam made a point to me earlier and everything that I'd heard the fact before, but to be honest, I'd forgotten about it until he told me today that Harley Race is a member of every major wrestling Hall of Fame there is.
Yes, there
If
is.
it's recognized pretty much as a Hall of Fame, he's in there. So, I mean, that alone shows the respect that that man had across the business. So there's no taking away from Harley Race. But I think that that's what made Harley Race great was that Harley Race could go anywhere, whether it was St. Louis, where it was the NWA territories, where it was up in the WWE, where he basically started the King gimmick there. He just commanded respect. And I don't doubt that maybe Harley Race could have been, I don't know about beating him at that time because of everything that was going on with Hulkamania, but Harley Race could have been a great contender for Hulk Hogan for a run. You know what I'm saying? Because you've got the lineage and everything like that, had he not got injured. But in saying that, let me tell you about Hard Times.
Hard times.
Hard Times is when you can't get nobody to watch your podcast.
I know about hard times.
is when you're spending all them
know
late
about Hard
nights clipping these videos and nobody's watching them or liking them or sharing them. That's Hard Times.
Nobody thumbs up.
No comment. No
Right?
comment.
Give me the thumbs up and the hearts. Nah, but it's Dusty. And I can't say that because Harley's impact was so great too. But to me, Dusty's impact was at a time when it was needed the most to compete with the WWE. And because that machine was starting, and it was like it was like trying to take a single propeller engine plane versus a jumbo jet. And they had to, Crockett and all the NWA was doing everything they could because they was like, oh crap, Vince is taking over, so we've got to do everything we can. And they put everything on Dusty Flair, and it worked for a long time until it didn't work. And the problem is they just scrambled from that point on and didn't have a plan.
I barely had a plan A.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I made the statement that a couple of weeks ago on a show that I believe if you would have the only saving grace that they have had was Sting, and the Sting and Flair thing helped out, but it still went through a lull there. But the business started going through a lull too. And I just think that like Dusty's impact and his need to be that guy, but not have to be the man. I can be the guy, but not be the man, if that makes sense. I could be the guy that's chasing the man, but I'm going to be the guy you want to see chasing that man all the time. And I'm going to get my, my little bit here and there, but it's about me chasing, not about me having. And I think that, people don't realize that. I like that part of wrestling better, is when the good guy's chasing, because to me, it just makes it more of like, ooh, I want to see this bird guard get his butt whipped. So for me, it's Dusty. So I guess Dusty's going to move on in that one. I I thought that was going to be a little bit harder than what it really was, to be honest with you. The next one we have Mr. Luthez versus Mr. Adam Pierce, and sorry guys about the delay with all the Dusty imitations. Like I said, you will get a clip. Uncle Slam, you didn't get yours in. Would you like a second to get your
No.
imitation in?
I was gonna save it for a Ric Flair, just in case.
Okay. He's gonna
I wanted to
save
be
the
a little
woos.
different, you know what I'm saying? I was gonna woo, throw in some limousine riding, jet flying. I was gonna save mine for a little bit later.
All righty. So we have got, let me get that back up there. We had Luthez versus Adam Pierce, and we will start with, let's go with Uncle Bear. Uncle Bear. Look, every time you all ain't allowed to be on the same show, I want to call him Uncle Bear. He's Professor Slam. I don't know if anybody is. All right, we got Luthez versus, it's probably Lou Pierce and Adam Thez at this point. But yeah, Luthez versus Adam Pierce. Who you got, Professor?
Let me start with Adam Pierce. Adam Pierce is not the Raw GM we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about Adam Pierce when the NWA was, for all intents and purposes, dead. Nobody knew about the NWA. Nobody cared about the NWA. Pierce did something for me that to this day I appreciate. I even got a chance to tell him myself over I think it was Instagram, and he answered me. And Pierce did something that a lot of wrestlers cannot do and won't do. We talk about putting a company on your back is one thing, but putting a dead company that has so much history on your back, trying to recreate that, trying to give it that buzz again. Adam Pierce is such an underlooked NWA world champion. Not only was he, excuse me, I'm saying was, but is a genuine world champion. He could talk people in the arena, have tremendous matches. Something that we hadn't really talked a lot about is styles. I don't care if you were a high flyer, if you ground and pound, if you were just hard hitting. Adam Pierce could adjust his style to any different style of wrestling. And again, for this to carry a brand that was such a prestigious brand to go in relative nothingness, he put it on his back and kept fighting and kept bringing it back to life. With that being said, we're talking about Lou effing Thez. Lou Thez, You can take one of the basic wrestling moves. Lou Thesz would beat you with it. He could tell you, I would do no other move but an arm drag. And after 2 arm drags, you will be begging him to go ahead and pin you because you're done. As much as I love and generally respect Adam Pearce, is Lou Thesz all the way.
Lou Thesz, okay. Mr. Blade.
I have to agree with Professor Bear on that as well. Lou Thesz is the ultimate shooter. Adam Pearce. Now I had a personal interaction with Adam Pearce, and it was a good one. He came into a company I was working for called Pro Wrestling Freedom, and that was in Corbin, Kentucky, back in 2013, I believe. But he wrestled Shane Mercer that night, the Iron Demon Shane Mercer, and they had an incredible matchup. He came in, he was the utmost professional. He'd never seen Shane Mercer before whatsoever, worked with him, made a star out of him that night. After that particular match, you started seeing Shane Mercer getting booked everywhere. So I think that match carried some weight. He was professional to everybody that was on the show that night, very approachable, gave critiques and all that stuff. And I think that's a very valuable thing that you could have and everything, is if you can give critiques honestly, and not just tell people what they want to hear. And he did that. I think if Adam Pearce came around, if he was the NWA world champion in the 80s, we would have been talking about a whole different animal these days. Unfortunately, he was the NWA champion. Like Professor Bear said, he was the NWA champion when it was basically a dead company. He did bring prominence back to that, and he had a great feud with Colt Cabana during that time. I think it was called the 7 Stages of Hell. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was amazing. And that, Cabana was a star anyway, but that made him an even bigger star, coming out of that. However, looking across the ring at Lou Thesz, if any professional wrestler is in the ring with Lou Thesz and they're not a little bit worried in the slightest, then you probably don't need to be in the ring with Lou Thesz. Lou Thesz he could tie you up. He could, put you in all these shoot holds and stuff like that and everything. And it's Lou Thesz for me, man. Lou Thesz was more NWA than Adam Pearce, I believe. And that's my opinion. So
he was classic NWA.
Yeah. And that's not taking anything away from Adam Pearce.
Right. No.
He's in the ring with Lou Thesz.
Right. Exactly. I agree. Warhammer.
See, now this is one I don't really know Pierce. I had to look him up, and I was like, okay, now I understand the connection and the where he's at now. But I'm gonna say this: as a wrestler, I would give everything to have a move named after me.
Right.
So the fact that there's a famous wrestler who throws the Thesz press and gets over. Okay, well, where did he get that from? Lou Thesz. So Stone Cold took something from Lou. So just having that it puts you above everything else. You've got a move named after you. There's nobody else that I can think of that has a move. If anybody can think of one, throw it out, please. But the Lou Thesz press.
O'Connor roll's about the only other one I could think of.
Yeah, but I mean,
and I don't even know who he is, to be honest. So
right.
I know, Bobby. I felt that.
Be honest, man. It's Bear that's the historian, not me. Don't come at me, people. No. No. All right. So you're going with Thesz as well?
Correct.
All righty. So Thesz has got it. Uncle Slam.
Another sweep on this. Like I said, I did make the connection on Adam Pearce. I thought it was two separate people, but then once I did the research, I realized that he's actually the same person. Didn't know that he was as great a wrestler as he was, but like you said, it was during a dead time. So I don't think anybody really knew him. I think more people nowadays will know him as the manager of Raw instead of a five-time like NWA champ. Luthez, he was NWA at the beginning. I mean, he had he's a three-time champ. I think he one reign lasted 2,300 days. Had another one that was like 1,900 days. Beat Buddy Rogers, Billy Watson and stuff. Youngest NWA champ in history. I mean, yeah, it's easy. It's Luthez. Come on.
All righty. Well, we'll just go ahead and save semantics, and I got Thez myself too, and there's nothing else I could say that you all haven't added on. He's just Luthez. You know, I knew who Luthez was before I ever knew who Luthez was. Every time I turned on the WCW on Saturday night, I'd hear about Luthez and Gene Kaninsky and all these other people, and I'm like, I don't know who any of these people are. And then the internet came around and I figured it out. But anyways, that's another story. All right, next one we got is Jeff Jarrett and Nick Aldis. And we will start with Professor Bear this time.
I almost don't think this is fair because I watched the Dark Side of the Ring about Jeff.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm watching the same thing right now. I swear to God. Swear to God.
With that being said, I actually fought, and again, this puts me in this weird place because I'm old enough to remember when Jeff started, and Jeff he hadn't said it, but basically retired. So I can truly say I followed Jeff's whole career. I've always liked Jeff. Jeff has had that love-hate relationship with the fans because Jeff could easily piss people off. And especially when the NWA TNA run, Jeff was known as the Triple H of TNA. You just got sick and tired of seeing him hold the NWA title. You just got sick of it. It to the point you almost vomited every time you turned on TV. And here comes Jeff. It's like, oh.
That's JE. What? Sorry.
So then we're going to go with Mr. Aldis. Again, NWA is starting to make a little buzz. You have Tim Storm doing his thing as the NWA champion. Then Nick Aldis gets that title. And you're talking about, for me, was one amazing, no, let me back that up. One hell of a run. He put the NWA back on a pedestal where people legitimately said, that's a world champion. It wasn't just his mannerism. It wasn't just his wrestling ability. It just wasn't the way he talked. It wasn't just the way he carried himself. It was everything. He was the total package that you want to hold your top title and make it mean something. No, in no way. Again, we have this thing in the wrestling business. The guy's so good he can wrestle a broom. Hell, Nick Aldis could wrestle a spatula. You put whatever in front of Nick, you're gonna get a quality, at least in a Meltzer rating, you're gonna get a 4.5-star match because he was that good. And we're gonna get blessed to see how good he is when him and Gunther wrestle at SummerSlam. So, with all that being said, I love Jeff. I love what he did, but there's no way in the world that he's beaten Nick Aldis.
So we got one for Aldis. Mr. Blade.
Well, I'm going to come from a place of personal experience here again. I've done shows with both of these guys. Jeff Jarrett, I did a show with him last November here in Lexington at the Ice Center for AMW, and he was great. He was fantastic. He wrestled a 6-man tag, gave everybody, what the people wanted. Guitar necklaces for everybody. Boom, at the end of the match. Everything was great. He drew a sellout crowd that night. Fantastic, easy to approach, very classy and all that stuff. So yeah, he's top notch in my book. And he also has my new favorite quote now. And that comes from the documentary thing the other day. He says, I looked down, I saw a beer belly, so I switched to vodka. So, but he's a class act, top notch and everything like that. Now, however, Nick Aldis, on the other hand, I was working for a group called New South Wrestling, and he came in there, and he was a rude, arrogant prick. No time for anybody. Wouldn't speak big league to everybody. Was a complete jerk the entire time. Walked over to us and said, you're welcome for the house, boys. And we hadn't drawn one extra person because he was there that night. Nobody knew who he was, and he was advertised. He came out, and it was no pop, no nothing, just dead silence. Now, with that being said, my personal feelings out of the way. Nick Aldis, just like Professor Bear said, took the NWA and brought it back to prominence, the Billy Corgan version of the NWA. He was the first face of the company when they went back national again on YouTube when they first started coming back with power. He worked with Tim Storm. They had awesome matches. He worked with Cody Rhodes during that time too, when they were doing the All In or whatever before it became AEW. And had some fantastic matches for the NWA championship there with Cody Rhodes. As much as I hate to say this, based on my personal experience with him, I'm going to have to choose Nick Aldis over Jeff Jarrett.
Alrighty, that's two for Aldis. Go ahead.
I was going to say he carried himself like a champion as far as like on TV. He dressed the part, great promos and stuff like that. Not a very nice guy at all in the slightest, but as nice as Jeff Jarrett was to us, Nick Aldis was the complete opposite. However, he was the Corgan NWA face at that time. So I got to go with Nick Aldis.
All righty. Nick Aldis it is, Mr. Hammer.
See, I can make this a lot quicker. Aldis was the last name I didn't know and I had to look it up. So I guess the information I got kind of agreed with you, and he was kind of an asshole. So I was going to go with Jeff Jarrett just because I know of him, and I know of him more, and that's not taking anything away from the wrestler, but it's from what I've learned after looking back. It's one of those. Oh, well, he just wasn't for the boys. He's not trying to help everybody up. He's trying to help himself.
Hot takes on this episode, y'all. Get them in. Now, Uncle Slam.
Like I said, I really didn't know much about Nick Aldis. Just to be honest, like I said, I've I guess he's been a champ more recently, or was a champ like when I wasn't really watching a whole bunch of wrestling. And damn, like kind of hearing everything everybody said, I'm over here like, damn, I don't like the guy either now.
Right.
But I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna put that to the side and
More hot takes.
yeah. Now Jeff Jarrett, I was never really a big fan of, but I guess that's because he did his job as a heel and he kind of made me hate him. Now, doing research, I was really confused because I kept seeing NWA title, but TNA, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. I thought we're looking at NWA, but then I called the legend and we had a little discussion. I realized that they had carried the NWA belt into TNA before they made it the TNA belt. And I did not even know that, so it kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah, that's why that's why R-Truth or Ron the Truth.
Yeah, Ron Killings,
you know what I'm saying? NWA World Champion.
But much of I'm gonna go Double J on this. Like I said, I don't know much about Nick. I just know he's a two-time champ. I know y'all know more about this, so y'all probably are right on this. But him being a six-time champ, I feel like he's been around long enough. You know, his whole family is pretty much wrestling. His grandmother to his father to him and shit. It just runs. You know, he's a son of a promoter. You know, it just runs in his blood. I feel like he is a better NWA champ than Nick Aldis, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Well, and people don't realize too, like you said, that's his family's a deep lineage family too.
Yeah. Yeah, I never knew that.
Jerry Jarrett and everything, you know.
Very
I
deep.
mean, they had the Fargos and all that stuff and everything, you know. Like every time I would talk to my mom about wrestling and everything, I'm over here mentioning like WWF guys and WCW guys, and she's over here like, yeah, I remember Tojo Yamamoto, and I'm like, who? I'm like, who is Tojo Yamamoto? What are you talking about? What is this strange language you keep saying? What's going on?
Doing great.
She's like,
Tojo was amazing.
Well, yeah.
he is.
Well, like Ric Flair started doing his strut and everything. She's like, "Oh, look at him doing the Fargo strut." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Ric Flair strut, man. Who is Fargo? You mean North Dakota or what?" But no, yeah. After looking into it, it's pretty cool to see that stuff. No, getting into it, you know, I liked Nick Aldis for bringing back the NWA to, you know, because I believe him and Adam Pearce are really the two guys that kind of brought the NWA back to prominence, you know, with the recognition of the belt, which I think is stupid because that belt's got like the greatest lineage ever. So I don't know why it ever needed to be brought back as anything. It's just crying shame. But anyways, all this, and you know, so because of that, and I always looked at him as like in the ring as a modern day, kind of like a more athletic William Regal to an extent, if that makes sense. I don't know if y'all can see what I'm saying there. I hope you do. But listening to Bobby and listening to other people and everything, because I have run into other people, you know, in my time being on the outskirts of the business, that I've talked to people that are like, yeah, he wasn't a very nice guy. And, you know, to me, that's disheartening because to me, that's the same thing as, you know, finding out that Hogan had the issues he had. You know what I'm saying? That it just kills who you think that these people are. And I think that kind of hurts them in the long run.
You don't
So
meet your heroes.
that's it. That's exactly it. And, you know, so I've always looked at him like that since finding this stuff out. And with Jeff Jarrett, it's like, I've always felt like you're either a Jeff Jarrett fan or you're not. And that's as a good guy or a bad guy, a heel or a face. Whether he's heel or face, you either like him, whether he's heel or face, you don't like him. And that's, I think he's one of those guys that there's just no in between, you know. I respect him. You know, he's had a long career. I understand why he gave himself the title and stuff at first in TNA. You know, it was his baby. He was trying to make sure it was going to succeed. You know, he could trust him. But at the end of the day, you still got to, you know, make better decisions too and everything. So I think that kind of favoritism / nepotism kind of plays in a little bit to his title reigns, not taking anything away from him. You know, he's a 6-time world champion, but I think I just think the way you treat fans and the way you do the stuff like that gets you so much further in my book. And as much as I was going to give this to Aldis, I'm giving it to Jarrett just because of the fact that, you know, he's more consistent. He's not, you know, I'm not going to put him in the top 50 of any of my favorites lists, but I'm also not going to put Nick Aldis in the top 100 either. So, you know, it kind of evens itself out. All righty, we got in the last match of the last round, Ric Flair and Dan Severn. Uncle Slam, we'll start with you this time and go clockwise.
Man, Dan Severn, the only man to hold a MMA title and a NWA title at the same time.
Yep.
That being said, woo, Ric Flair 9 times, baby. Come on, let's stop playing. There's only one other person, and we've already had them besides Ric Flair on this list that we can even think about. Ric Flair. I don't even have to say anything. 9 times. He is the man. Like you said, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. 9 times. Ric Flair. All day, every day. Twice on Sunday.
All righty. So that's 1 for Flair. And let's go around, Mr. Hammer.
Now, you want a legit badass, you want a legit shooter, you want somebody that can actually hurt somebody. Well, that's Dan Severn all day. I mean, you believed he could beat you up and never pull his hands out of his pockets, like just kicking you, pop, pop, pop. You knew it was going to hurt, but he's no Flair. The only other person I could think of that has a move named after them, this is a negative move, but everybody knows the Flair flop.
Yep. Yep. All right. So we got 2 for Flair. Mr. Blade.
Well, I mean, you got Dan Severn on one side, and like Warhammer said, legit tough guy, legit badass, could beat you up, could tear you apart, could bring you down. However, he's no Ric Flair. He's no Nature Boy. You put them in a promo battle, and Flair all day, every day. Dan Severn, I don't think I've ever heard Dan Severn even talk on TV.
Couldn't tell you what his voice sounded like.
Yeah. But I mean, I know when he comes out, he's very intimidating looking. He's got the sexy Tom Selleck mustache going on, you know, and stuff like that. That's awesome. And you're going to be scared to death of him when he comes out. However, entertainment factor. Would you rather see a guy come out with a straight look on his face and just sitting there just going all the way to the ring? Or would you rather see a guy come out with a big robe, big flashy robe, the blonde hair, you know, the shiny belt around his waist, you know, strutting and stuff like that? Woo! You know, stuff like got the 4 horsemen. If he can't beat somebody, here comes the horseman, you know. If he tries to hit you with something and you duck it and you nail him, boom, here comes Tully Blanchard. You nail him, well, here's Arn Anderson, boom, here's Barry Windham. You know, Lex Luger, whoever was in the Horsemen at the time, Ole Anderson. And then boom, you knock all of them out, then boom, here's some brass knucks to your face. It's Ric Flair. Every single day, Ric Flair gets that hand raised. He's a promoter's dream. Yep. Sometimes he's a promoter's nightmare, but he was the face of the NWA in the 80s and the face of WCW all the way up until the end. And I'll say that, you know, he shared the being the face at WCW with Sting and Hollywood Hogan. Not Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan.
Yep.
So, yeah, Ric Flair for me. Sorry, I'm going on and on and on.
No. I love it. It was funny because you got me hyped. You started naming off horsemen, and you were naming off all these great names. I don't know if you heard me. I said Paul Roma. You know?
Oh God. We'll forget about that iteration of the horseman.
Could have been any worse than McMichaels.
Right.
McMichaels.
At least McMichael sucked, but at least he embraced it.
And he became funny.
Yes, he was entertaining. So
Yes,
give
I
him
mean
a
he
pass.
sucked as a wrestler, and why they let somebody like him do a tombstone on people, I was scared for people's lives every week on Nitro. I was like, "Oh my God, somebody's going to die." I just know it. We're going to have to watch it live on
Oh, fuck.
TV.
Yep.
Terrible. All righty. Well, who have we gotten to yet?
Bear.
We
Bear,
yeah,
it's on the first
Bears.
round, ain't it?
I'm
So,
sorry. I got sidetracked. I'm laughing so
No,
much.
Bear. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bear.
it's Professor Bear. Go ahead.
so this is truthfully to me, when I saw this matchup, I thought this was a good matchup because you're taking by far one of the greatest wrestlers of all time versus one of the most intimidating shoot wrestlers of all time. Everybody wants to talk about Brock Lesnar. I'm just going to be real with people, and I'm going to get heat for it, but I do not care. Brock Lesnar would have got his ass handed to him if he would have went up against Dan Sam.
The original
Several-
beast. The original
several-
beast, Dan the Beast
yes.
Severin.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
He did not. People were more scared that he wouldn't do what he said he was going to do than him not doing, because anytime he didn't like something, he could when I say easily changed it, and not a damn thing anyone could have did about it.
It's like a Mark Henry. Stop me.
Yeah. So with all that being said, and look, he had a three-year title run with the NWA title. Again, with all that being said, there's only one. Nature Boy. Ric Flair. And no matter how you slice it, Rick is going to have these things. He's going to have the title. He's going to have your woman. He's going to have the money. And he's going to, woo! That's Rick.
Yes, sir. So we got 4 for Rick. Well, it kind of seals the deal. Ric Flair's moving on. But I'm going to go ahead and give my little 3 cents too. So when I first seen Dan Severn, I'm not going to lie, I thought, who is like scary big bully Busick here? But I'm like, this version of him looks like he could actually whoop my ass. That other guy, I don't know what they had going on with him. But no, I didn't know who he was and everything. Of course, the NWA had fallen by the wayside by that point. They were kind of barely doing their thing inside and outside of WCW here and there. And then they had that little weird thing that happened in the WWE, and nobody knows why they did it because Vince is just going to bury anything that's not his. But which was stupid. But hey, who am I? But yeah, I just think that like when you get down to it, Dan Severn was a true beast. He was, the original beast incarnate. As far as, and I'm not saying that Brock's not, I would have loved to have seen Brock at his prime versus Dan Severn in his prime in both the WWE and a cage fight. I think those, let's figure out a third thing, Greco-Roman wrestling or something for the third thing, Olympic wrestling for the third. Let's do a real trifecta of, matches against these two. And I wish we could go back and do that. That'd be great. But no, I got to give it to Flair. Flair is like Bobby said, he is what you think of when you think of the NWA. He's what you think of when you think of WCW. He's what you think of when you think of wrestling. Flair trend is like Hogan, and he's like Austin, Rock, Stings.
Pop culture.
Yes, he transcends just one company. Not because he ever even there's people who transcended companies who never even wrestled for companies. It's just they are part of the business. So and that's Flair. Flair, everybody knows who Ric Flair is. And if you don't, then I don't know what rock you've been hiding under, but you should really get out from underneath and get some sun because that's not good for people. But yeah,
Can I say this? This year I went to a fan fest in St. Louis. Now, for the people that don't know, I am a big man. I am 6'4", 300 pounds. A lot of people, when they meet me, they are immediately intimidated by my size and my stature. I saw Dan Severn leaving the convention. I didn't get a chance to meet him, and I was mad at myself. But seeing him walk away, I thought in the back of my head, thank God he is leaving, because he would destroy anybody in this place. Legitimately. And I don't know his age, but he still has that intimidating, I can kill you without even moving my arms look.
yeah.
And I thought I was an intimidating person. He pardon my French, but he made me look like a bitch. I have no lie to tell you.
Yes, Mr. Severn, what can I do for you, sir?
Yes, sir. You want my wallet. You want my wife. You want my car. Anything you want is yours, sir.
He's like his mustache is more manly than me.
Yes.
But you're gonna give him all of your stuff because you're afraid of him. Ric Flair is gonna take it because he can.
Rick he's gonna finesse me out of it.
He's going, woo, come on, baby, pay for a
Wheeling,
good shot.
dealing, kiss stealing.
Can't keep his alligators still. Oh my God, this is a good time.
I will
guys.
say the woo off.
Yes,
The woo off.
the woo off would be great. All right, guys, on to the next round. We have got Dusty Rhodes versus Lou Thesz and Jeff Jarrett versus Ric Flair for the semifinals of the NWA bracket. Guys, who we will start with, let's do it. Let's mix it up this time. Let's go with Bobby Blade. Let's start off with you, buddy. Who you got? You got Dusty Rhodes or Lou Thesz?
You got Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream versus Lou Thesz. Man, the thing is Lou Thesz, he can tie him up in knots, like I said earlier, and everything. However, you got the common man on the other side of the ring. You got Dusty Rhodes. You got, man, he's going to sell the tickets. You know, Lou Thesz is going to sell some tickets too. However, Dusty Rhodes is going to talk everybody into the building. He's going to make Lou Thesz seem like, you know, he's going to put Lou Thesz on equal footing with himself and everything, so he doesn't bury Lou Thesz, you know, in all the promo battles and all that stuff. He's going to bring him up with him to his level of promo, because Lou Thesz, I don't know if you've seen any promos of his. Man can't cut a promo. But Dusty Rhodes, you know, he's going to, it's Dusty. It's Dusty. I'm just not even going to talk anymore. It's Dusty.
Stop. He said it's Dusty.
It's Dusty.
It's Dusty. All right, let's mix it up. Go random, spin the wheel. Let's go with Uncle Slam.
All right. I believe Lou was the past, and I believe Dusty was pretty much the future. Like, if we're going to put it this way, Lou was great for his time. He was, you know, he helped get everything going. You know, he cemented, like, he laid the foundation. But Dusty, he, like you said, he was the common man. He was everybody's man. I mean, everybody's doing impressions. We're still talking about this man. We're still doing impressions of this man and shit to this day. I mean, like the battles he had with, you know, Flair and, you know, Harley Race and like all these other people, man. I mean, we're still talking about this guy and the fact that he's influenced so many people, not just NWA. I'm talking about wrestling as a whole. This man has had such an impact. Whether, you know, you can talk about people from WWE to NXT, you know, they'll talk about how influential Dusty was. So to me, Dusty by a landslide on this.
All Alrighty, so we got 2 for Dusty. I'm gonna just go ahead and make it short and sweet with mine. Like I was going to touch on what you said, Uncle Slam. All the influence across all these different organizations, Florida Championship Wrestling. The startup. What was it when they brought back Florida Championship Wrestling? I believe and that turned into NXT.
Yeah.
I mean, just his influence in the WWE. Everybody thinks the polka dots and stuff was hey, even Cody has said that Dusty said that was one of the best times of his life because of the fact that there was just no pressure. All he had to do was go out there and perform. He wasn't worried about being the booker, wasn't worried about having to be the champion, carry the company. He could just go out there and wrestle and have fun for like a year and a half. So I think it's cool that somebody like him has so much influence, with modern, past, and that in between of all these different wrestlers he's touched and everything. So to me, it's no doubt it's definitely Dusty. It's no offense to Luthez because again, for every reason, Luthez was, we'll call him the original badass. He could hurt who he wanted to hurt when he wanted to hurt them. And that's just there. You had no choice in that. But we're talking about wrestling, which is an art form. It's not just like Kevin Nash said, you can go out there and put somebody in a figure 4 and break their leg, but you don't. You don't. Why don't you? And that's the beauty of wrestling. When you really get into it, you understand those things. And I think Dusty is somebody that just brought that to wrestling. So yeah, it's Dusty for me all day long. Professor Bear, we'll go with you, and then we'll end off with Warhammer on this one.
So the one thing that I keep going back to is, in my mind, we're talking about greatest champions. And to be a champion, you had to be a great wrestler. Not only the entertainer, not only to draw houses and all of that, but it goes back to wrestling. So in my mind, I'm thinking Dusty versus Luthez. How would that match go? I'm thinking Dusty would do his thing and Lou would catch him and he'd trap him and he'd be hurting Dusty. And Dusty probably legitimately pass out. But then you hear that crowd, baby. You hear that cloud. And then you see the hand, baby. And the hand to start wiggling and walking. And people be like, oh, come on, Dusty. Come on, big star. Come on. And Dusty would legitimately break out of it. And Dusty would get to move in that big frame, boy. And all of a sudden, Dusty turned back, hit him with that bionic elbow, baby. And it would knock Lou legitimately out.
I'm getting on fire.
And after the show, everybody just really like, did I see that? The boys in the back like, Lou got knocked out because you can't stop the power of the bionic elbow, baby. When you got the people behind you, it's always that power, the power of the people, baby. And I don't care what color you are, baby, because we all together on this, baby. Dusty got to go to the finals, baby. And let me tell you, Dusty created wrestling. Dusty came up with so much different things that's used in modern wrestling today that when you mention Dusty, everybody stop what they're doing, baby, and throw up their hands to Dusty. I feel you, Dusty. We feel you. We are proud of Dusty Rose, baby.
But to quote Pat Patterson, this is banana.
Man, you just sold me some tickets. I'm on fire after that speech.
Warhammer, what do you got for us, buddy?
I mean, we might as well turn this to the Church of Dusty. Because, I mean, as bad as Luthez was, it doesn't matter. You pulled up statistics earlier, and he lost to somebody 47 times, 63 times, 187 times. It will not matter to Dusty Rhodes, baby. He's going to throw that bionic elbow. He's going to move. He's going to shake, and he's going to win every time, even if he doesn't win every time. Can you feel that, daddy? Now, I actually got injured one time and used his Hard Times promo as the inspiration to my video. I was out for 6 months with a concussion. Very bad. No lie, it was bad. So I brought the intensity, and all I left it with was pain. That's what I wanted people to understand. Wrestling is pain. Just like the Hard Times, he lets you know that it doesn't matter where you come from or where you end. The story is the sell. That's the magic. So it is Dusty Rhodes all the day.
All righty. I think we had a clean sweep on that one. Thez got a clean sweep in the last round, and he got clean sweep this round.
He just was no Dusty Rhodes.
That's it. You know, Uncle Slam, I'm thinking that if we ever do a profile on Dusty Rhodes, I think we found the people we want to bring back.
Yeah.
Or if we just want to have a Dusty Rhodes impression contest, you know.
I legit, if you have me back, I'm coming with a little curly blonde wig and a bandana. I'll have
there you go, daddy.
patch, baby. I'll let you know, some aviators, baby.
I'm already there because I got the Billy, baby. I got the Billy. Yeah, baby.
Well, I'm just letting you know, guys, come Halloween, we are planning on doing a big show for Halloween and just go on for about 2 or 3 hours or whatever. Everybody have people coming in, but we are going to dress up as our favorite wrestlers, and I'm already trying to I'm trying to perfect my Jesse Ventura voice because I'm from the Baja.
I'm just asking questions, Mama.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have to get everybody on here if y'all manage to be able to do it and everything. Come as your favorite wrestler. You get interviewed by Jesse Ventura, and I'll tell you about how I live down in the Baja. Now, Vince McMahon. Let me tell you something, Monsoon. All right. We have got Jeff Jarrett. I don't know. This has went off the rails so many times. It's great, though. Jeff Jarrett versus the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. I kind of got an idea who's going to win this, but, we got to go through the semantics. Take it away. Let's go with Warhammer first this time.
This is, when you boil them down, they're almost the same wrestler. But it is Flair. It is the Nature Boy. It's always Nature.
It's always the Nature Boy. All righty, we got one for Flair. Let's see. We will go with Professor Bear next.
Make it quick and simple. I mean, do I even need to say?
There you go.
I don't think any of us really need.
All those in favor, can I get a woo?
Right. Woo! I think that was kind of a clean sweep there, guys. I mean, if does anybody need to say anything? I mean, if you do, feel free.
No, because I was pretty much going to say Ric Flair. Like, probably the only thing I was going to say was he's every woman's dream and every man's nightmare.
I mean,
simple fact of the matter is Flair sold more tickets than Double J has. He sold more pay-per-views than Double J has. He's made more legitimate long-time stars than Double J has. That's not taking anything away from Jarrett.
No.
At all. But Flair is the man. Flair's the man.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Just better.
And Space Mountain is the oldest ride in the park, but it's still got the longest line.
Oldest ride, longest line.
That's exactly it. All righty, guys. For the finals, I guess we already know this. I'll get the visual up there here in a second. We've got Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair.
Classic. Like this is the way it was supposed to be. This is the way it was always
supposed to
going to be. Right
And
here.
yes, I agree 100%, Uncle Sam. But this is where the real debate comes in. So, guys, bring it, because this is where we want to hear your greatest argument on Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, NWA, and this is to go on and represent the NWA in the greatest heavyweight champion of all time tournament. This champion will be the NWA representation against all the other companies' champions. This is going to be big. Everybody, give us your answers in the comments. I got stuck there. Yeah, forgive me. But yeah, we will start. Let's just go around the horn. Professor Bear, we'll start with you.
Like any classic, you have the Boston Celtics versus the LA Lakers. You have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the San Francisco 49ers. You have
the Eagles.
You have these classics. I could easily run down their resume, but everybody knows it. You have one man that by far won the most world titles than anyone. Damn what WWE says. Then you have the man that has created so many pay-per-views, did so many different matches, created war games, that has so many modern wrestlers being what he saw in them. Then the other one, who is quoted by every wrestler alive. Then go into other sports. You have so many people mimicking his style. Trick Williams, he got his lemon pepper steppers from the man. So we could go back and forth. I could do this all night, but here's the simple fact. As much, baby, as Dusty has the people, baby, the people always there, baby. But that dirty, no good, scoundrel, Ricky Flair, baby, he done cheated once again, baby. And I'm still the number one contender. And the Nature Boy is the man.
All righty, so we got one for Flair, starting it off strong in his category. I can already see the look on Mr. Blade's face. He is not enjoying this at all. So I guess we will just go ahead and let him end his own misery here.
This is the toughest one yet, man. For real. I thought Lawler and Hennig was going to be the tough one and everything. But Dusty versus Flair, man, that is a feud that transcended time. You know, the working class versus the elite. And, you know, everybody loves Dusty Rhodes. You know, all these wrestlers, you know, the NXT people, they always put Dusty over as the man that taught them the craft and everything, taught them how to work and, you know, and how to talk and, you know, gave them his ideas and got everybody over and all that stuff. And Dusty Rhodes had awesome matches, and I love Dusty Rhodes, and I've been putting him over for 2 hours and 22 minutes. But Ric Flair, on the other hand, has transcended not only wrestling, other aspects of entertainment, sports, movies, TV. Everybody knows who Ric Flair is. A lot of people know who Dusty Rhodes is, but more people know who Ric Flair is. More people know the Nature Boy. There's a reason why the Nature Boy is part of all these rap songs. They talk about him in all these rap videos and stuff like that. They talk about him in other types of music. He's referenced in movies and TV and stuff like that. Everybody knows who, woo, everybody knows where that came from.
Yep.
Horseman interference. Ric Flair goes over.
Flair over Dusty. All righty, that's 2. Mr. Hammer.
And that was tough for me to pick.
He said that was tough. I love it.
I know we kind of touched on this earlier, and being the working man, the everyman, the common man, and being there, the underdog who everybody is going to root for, who is going to win 1 out of 99 times. But you know who is constant money, who is making that money, constantly getting booked, constantly drawing, is the Nature Boy. That's the guy who's going to hold that title, because he's going to put his foot on the rope right when you think Dusty's got him. Oh no, Flair just put on his rope. And I had in my head, I was kind of booking something a little different than the Horseman. He's got that card that he loved to use and cuts open Dusty a couple times. Dusty's leaking, Flair's already got his blonde hair turned red as well, but Dusty's got to get some color too. But it's Flair that eventually takes over, because 99 times it will be Flair. That one time Dusty gets it, it is the hugest pop that he has ever felt. But it's Ric Flair every other time.
Uncle Slam.
Man, just like picking between 2 of my kids, honestly, like you said.
But you do have a favorite.
No, I do not have a favorite, because they might be listening. No, I love all my kids the same.
I've only got 1, so she is my favorite.
Okay. Well, I have 4, so I have to love them all. I love them all, actually. But man, this is so hard, and this is such a classic. And I felt like this is where this was going to head to anyway. I felt like if Harley didn't get in, that it was going to be Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, and I almost feel like it should be. I mean, we're talking about 2 of the people that had probably, besides Hogan, had the most impact on wrestling, I would say. Because like I said, man, we're still talking about these people, and they've been done for a long time. We're still quoting them. We're still talking about them in pop culture.
They
still
built
doing
the most.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is how much of an impact both of these guys have had in wrestling as a whole. So, to pick one is really hard, but and I have really loved like everybody's ideas on the finishings for the matches. Like, definitely give me flashback, because I can see that rope on the leg and shit at the last minute for Flair. I can see the Horseman coming in. I can see the brass knuckles and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I can see the blood from Flair and stuff like that. Like, because I'm getting all these flashbacks, from wrestling. But at the end of the day, just like everybody else, I gotta go with Flair. I gotta go with the man. I mean, as much as I love Dusty, and he, if I had to pick, what I'm saying, it'd probably be A1, A2, or something like that. But it's Ric Flair. It's got to be Ric Flair.
For me, it's like I said, a lot. It doesn't necessarily have to be the longest reign for it to have the most impact or anything like that. I wouldn't say that Lex Luger had a great reign as world champion, but the fact that he beat Hollywood Hogan on Nitro had a huge impact. So it doesn't always have to be about length of reign. It has to just make sense in the overall scheme of things. So Dusty, again, I think Dusty was like we've talked about before, Uncle Slam. He's like an Undertaker. He's like a Rowdy Piper. Well, I mean, they're just guys that didn't need a title to be relevant. Mm-hmm. They walked in the room, and that's what made them relevant. Yes, so it was like, and I think that was the thing with Dusty, is he was that same way. He didn't have to be your champion, but you knew that, Dusty goes out there, he's going to give you the show every time. In turn, every superhero has to have his supervillain. And every, opposites attract, whatever cliche you want to use. The common man, like you said, versus the elite. And that's exactly what this was at the smartest time in the world. People who didn't live in the 80s don't realize the separation that happened between the rich and the middle class. That's kind of when the middle class started getting pushed away a little bit. So it was like, if you, whichever side you were on, you kind of understood that and everything. So this was real life. This was real life wrestling. WWE was Hulk Hogan, superheroes, and rah rah USA, American Dream, well, not American Dream, but you know what I'm saying. I just think that this rivalry was arguably top 5 greatest rivalry of all time. But in that, it just made more sense for Dusty to always be chasing that title as opposed to holding that title, because that's what the Horsemen were. They were the group that had everything, you had nothing, and we were going to make sure we kept everything we had.
They're better than you. And they know
Yes. And everybody else in the company, you better either get together and stop us, or we're going to dismantle you one by one and take everything you got. And that's what they did. That's what
And
made it
that's
so
how they-
great.
And that's how they made you relevant. Because if you got to win over any of them,
Yes.
it meant something.
Yes. They were the ones putting the asses in the seats.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the way it was for me. But we got Ric Flair going over Dusty Rhodes in a clean sweep, which I'm actually surprised about that with the clean
that
sweep
was
and
hard.
everything.
That hurt.
Yes.
Yes, it was. I told you.
Yes. So, guys, before we get out of here, I will we'll start off with Warhammer and go backwards and let you all say a final little piece about anything about it. Plug anything you want to and everything. I know it's getting late. I don't want to keep you all too much. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, this has been absolute blast. Just the Dusty promos alone was, comedy gold.
The dust offs.
Yeah, the dust off. You watch and see. That's getting used, man. You'll get credited, but that's getting used. All the clips would be dust off 1, dust off 2. Yes, it's coming. Watch
Choose
out
the best Dusty.
this week.
Oh,
Dusty
you have to-
Idol on Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc Facebook page.
Yeah, do the poll.
Yes.
There you go. Yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. It's always a blast. Love you guys to death. But yeah, Warhammer, take it away. Tell us what you think about the tournaments, and then plug anything you want to.
Well, I mean, these tournaments are amazing. We're really getting into the meat and bones of wrestling, and this is, everybody's bringing a little bit of something else to make this cake. And that's what how I structure my matches is I'm trying to bring my stuff, bring your stuff together just to tell the story and bake a cake to make this work. This 10 minutes go off without a hitch, So this has been really fun, just debating on who's better. I don't have too much going on right now, but I do run a podcast myself. It's called Dropping the Hammer. I do that every Sunday. The other thing right now, I'm working on a beard oil, a beard care line with me and my tag team partner. I wanted to talk to you all about that. I noticed some chin whiskers on everybody. So right now we have 3 scents. We are working on our 4th scent. It will be out. So we are doing beard washes, beard oils in 4 different scents. We are doing balms, butters, and styling waxes, again, in all 4 scents. The 4 scents are Raiders Camp, Mead Hall, Winter Hunt, and Long Ship. I can give you more information on all of those, but each scent is based off of more of an environment, a scene. And when I tell you, you smell something and you're going to go, man, this makes me think of, yes, that's why it's on the bottle. Labels will be coming out very soon, and that's blowing up. So beard oils.
Hey man, feel free once you
Oh,
get
hell yeah.
everything up, share it
Yeah.
onto the Headlocks page, man. I mean,
We'll do.
wrestlers have beards too.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that quote. I like that.
Wrestlers have beards too. You feel free to use that, buddy. Now, Bobby Blade, tell us a little bit of what you got going on, sir.
Well, I appreciate you all having me on here. This was great. This was a lot of fun, and it was interesting to hear everybody's takes on who they think they should win the tournament and stuff like that, and win each match and everything. So that was very refreshing. We got to air our opinions on things and everything without anybody arguing or anything like that, and that was a breath of fresh air, because you know how the internet is. You put
Yep.
your opinion up, and here's
It's
80
gone.
people, just
That's
yelling
it.
at you and stuff.
Your opinion is
Um,
wrong. Mine is much better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As far as stuff I got coming up, let's see. I got July the 28th in Ironton, Ohio for AMW, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. I got August the 7th, Danville, Kentucky for the Elite Wrestling Alliance. That's a 21 and over show. So we're going to have a lot of fun that night.
At the Nook.
Yep.
Shout out to
I've
my
got
buddy Teddy.
What
I know the owner of the Nook. His name's Teddy
Oh.
Tolar. So shout out
Oh,
to
yeah?
him, man. Yeah, go
Well-
to the Nook and check them out.
Well, I've already asked the promoter if I can hump the poles and all that stuff, because it's a 21 and over night and everything, and he said absolutely. So I might get a little nasty with it that
I
night.
got
Napkin,
to save up some monies in so I can go see Bobby hump a pole.
Yeah.
Napkin,
Let's see. I got the big one, August the 22nd. I've got other shows in between those, but let me talk about the big one real quick. The Corbin Arena, the big arena there in Corbin, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. We're going to have the main event is the Good Brothers versus FTR. And that is going to be, it's being billed as possibly FTR's last U.S. match. Depending on what they do and all that stuff, because they have said they wanted to take a break, get out or something like that, So
Yeah.
Good Brothers versus FTR, the main event at the Corbin Arena, and it's paperless only. It's paperless at the door, so you have to buy your tickets online because it's a big arena. They're going to have assigned seating and all that stuff. So I urge you to get your tickets now. There's a ticket link up on the AMW page. It's going to be a great night. I'm going to be doing commentary that night as well. And I'm just so happy that to still be booked at so many shows at 52 years old. My wrestling days are huh?
You don't look it.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel it, but I don't
I feel the 42. Trust me.
But my wrestling days are long gone. You will never see me ever wrestle a match again. However, I've been able to transition into a commentary role and that manager role for Picture Perfect Jordan Cage, and I think I've done that quite well. And I've acclimated very well to the commentary role, and I've got some great teachers that are still teaching me that. So I'm still learning that, and I get a lot of great reviews and everything. So I'm tooting my own horn on that too. But still, 52 years old, and I'm still getting booked. So I must be doing something right somewhere. I don't know exactly what I'm doing right, but anyway, though, that's enough about me. I appreciate you guys having me on.
One of the best in the business in my book.
Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you.
Professor, you're welcome, Bobby. Professor Bear.
Oh, wow. So we at the WSN are coming back out with our wrestling app. And this version of the wrestling app is based on independent wrestling. We are going to give the independent promotions their just due and give them a platform where they can be seen on a national level. We have promotions right now that are all around the world. We are super excited about this. We have some great surprises in store. We have some classic promotions that have not been seen in quite a while that we have on the app. It's going to be an amazing thing. We actually have also some great wrestling games. We have, of course, podcasts. We have a little of everything, and we even have a little selection for the family, for the ladies or the guys who are not really in.
Oh, you froze up.
That happened to me earlier.
No.
No.
I'll give him a second. Maybe he'll come back in.
Yeah, give him just a second.
So Bobby, but while I have a minute, I'm gonna need you to be my mouthpiece and talk me up, because
I'm getting you. I see. I'm helping you get booked down in Texas already, Bobby. Go ahead, man. Do your thing.
or I can come to where you're at.
We're in Kentucky. Come on up, man. All kinds of stuff going on here too.
Yeah.
All kinds of man. I'm telling you, independent wrestling in Kentucky is really taking off. We'll get back to Professor Bear just as soon as he can get technical difficulties figured out. But yeah, independent wrestling overall is just great. I'll go ahead and plug our stuff just in case he can't get back in or he gets back in. I was hoping that you. I was telling you earlier, Bobby. I looked at your schedule that you posted online earlier, and I was like, our last show is August 7th. I was like, I wonder who. I was like, I wonder if he's going to be free. I looked, and I was like, man, that's the EWA thing. So, but yeah, because I was trying to, I wanted to get you on for the final show because it's going to. So right now, if everything stays booked, there he is. He's come back.
No, I already have those haters that are out to try to stop our momentum, but you can't. You can kick me off. You can do what you want, but we are coming, and we definitely represent what independent wrestling is. So please, thank y'all so much for the buzz I keep hearing about it. But I promise you, when it comes out, I promise you this is something that you will enjoy. And with me trying to put in so much hard work on this, I've kind of paused my podcast for a little while, not going away, just trying to keep that energy going towards this. So again, thank y'all so much. I'm so glad to be in the room with so many great gentlemen that know wrestling history, that love wrestling as much as I do. So thank y'all so very much.
Always a pleasure. And when all of y'all are here, man, we're lucky to have, not only are we lucky to have guests like you all, we're lucky to have friends like you all. We appreciate everything. We like I tell people, EWA, we have the foothold we have because of them. And it's because of EWA people who are, Bobby and, just different people, Professor Bear with the Wrestling Society Network, Mr. Warhammer from Texas. It's just, I've met so many people randomly from doing this, and it's been wonderful that I can honestly and truthfully say that, I appreciate the friendships and everything. Next week, we've got the TNA ECW brackets. And next week, tune in, everybody, because next week is going to be Uncle Slam's first night of hosting the show. And I'm going to sit back and just enjoy just doing the picks. I'll do the visuals and stuff for him so it ain't overload for him or nothing and everything. I don't want his head blowing up over there too much trying to click stuff and buttons and everything.
Wow.
But
it's going to be an adventure, guys. Tune in.
I don't know what to do. I'm new.
Right. Right. He's going to be messaging me, hey, how come this don't do this whenever I do? But no, we've got a great lineup of it. We got, like I said, next week, the 24th, we got the TNA ECW and Uncle Slam's first hosting job. Then July 31st, we've got the WWE and WCCW brackets. And then, of course, August 7th, we will have the finals, and we are shooting for an all-star show on the finals. As of right now, we have me, Uncle Slam, Zodiac, Brock's Boulder, Professor Bear, the Wrestling Encyclopedia, Sean John, and Mayhem Media's JD. So that's like, yeah, the knowledge that's going to be in the room is going to be amazing, just with everybody there. It's going to be a great show. That's 8 people. And the possibility that, I put the invitation out there. I don't know if he's going to accept it, but Mario Mancini might be joining that show as well. So yeah, it's going to be a great show. And if he joins, I'm just going to sit back and host and enjoy just the talking and have fun. I ain't picking nothing. But yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all being here. Y'all tune in, and yeah, if anything changes, man, and we'll do some more of these tournaments and get y'all back in here because it's definitely been fun. Yeah. Anybody got anything else? He said no. Uncle Slam, you got
No,
anything?
sir, I'm tapped out.
Well, I guess referees
No,
hit
sir.
that 3.
I just want to thank everybody who showed up. I really appreciate everything. I've learned so much from y'all that I never even knew before. I just want to thank you for all that. And hey, y'all are welcome. Come back anytime.
Well, I think Bobby's hit that blade cutter, and referees hit that 3 count. So we're gonna ring that damn bell.
Okay, so that was Headlock Heels and Havoc's podcast that I was on 2 weeks ago. It was kind of funny. I ended up in the same shirt. I know I only wear a handful of shirts, but I ended up in the same shirt. So it was really weird to watch on 2 different screens. So, yeah, I do want to thank everybody for stopping by. I just want to drop a couple notes. August 8th, I will be with Southern Star Wrestling. I will be taking on Stevan Remsen, the Ring Bully. August 15th, I will be with League Alliance. I will be facing Vincent Crane. And then August 22nd with E2IW, that will be in Gina, Louisiana. And that will be taking on the Sovereign Few and the Family Affiliated for the championship belt. So I got 2 championship matches coming up. I've got one that's a tournament for a championship chance. So I've got a lot of big opportunities coming up in August. So we're going to see how that goes. And again, I'll have labels tomorrow. I'll have it Tuesday by the latest. Once I hit up Iron Belly, we're going to slap some labels on some bottles. Again, we've got all the scents. The feminine line is out. The new line is out as well, the new scent. So that's 2 scents coming at you. Everything is now done. We don't have the labels for the balms, butters, and styling wax, but baby steps. Once we get the labels for the bottles, then we'll get the ones for the tins, and we'll continue this. We've already got one barbershop in New York, and then the guy that's helping me out with the labels and everything, he got a storefront, so he's got a corner set up for our beard oil. We're going to have a banner. We're going to have this, that, and the other. We're going to have an entire corner just dedicated to the Sons of Plunder beard care. So things are moving fast, and I can't believe it's all happening. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in this week. Be sure to hammer that like button, share this with your friends. Tune in next week. We'll talk about something else. And, here in August, we are definitely going to be talking about some wrestling. We'll be doing a lot of watch parties. We'll be talking. So I can't wait to see y'all. Thank you all for tuning in and sitting in for nearly 3 hours. This is the longest episode that I've done, but again, that was one of their longest episodes. So I can't believe I'm a part of it. I'm just glad to help. So thank everyone for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.